If you want it all, lay it on the line. It's the only life you got. So you gotta live it big time! What the heck is going on? This is so crazy. I cannot believe I got the chance to sit down and talk with Stephen Kramer Glickman. You know those lyrics. That's Big Time Rush, baby. I'm talking these guys. Big Time Rush, baby. I'm talking these guys. Big Time Rush, baby. I could go on and on. I'm talking these guys. I surprised Steven because I don't think he realized when we set this up. He knew I was a musical theater person. He knew. We spoke about it. But I don't think he realized the type of Big Time Rush fan that I am, man. None of you know. None of you know. I don't know that I've ever discussed this side of my life on the podcast here. I am a huge Big Time Rush fan. I grew up on Big Time Rush. For those of you who don't know Big Time Rush, who listen to me for theater lore, I'm waiting for the Big Time Rush jukebox musical to, at the very least, be Carlos, I guess. Big Time Rush is a boy band that was started on Nickelodeon around 2009, November of 2009. The Big Time Rush men were born on Nickelodeon. The show was started, and they also came out with albums, and they were a boy band that I was just over the moon for. And I still am. They're awesome. They're the coolest guys ever. I think the way I dress is still, my girlfriend will tell you that the way I dress is still a la Big Time Rush. I don't know. I think it's my own style with a hint of Big Time Rush in there, maybe. And also, they're the coolest guys ever. So, whatever. Not a big deal to be dressing like Big Time Rush. That's a cool thing, actually. But in the show, Stephen Kramer Glickman played Gustavo Rocque. And he was a huge part of my childhood, bigger than he could possibly ever know. And I tried to temper my crazy with my podcast host, producer energy to make sure that we were just having a conversation and it wasn't just me geeking out to him about how much I adore Big Time Rush and his performance in Big Time Rush and how much it meant to me as a kid. This is a pinch me episode. Okay. I don't know where to begin, and I don't know, but for all of you theater people there who are listening to our podcast, who do listen to our podcast, Stephen Kramer Glickman was Shrek in Shrek the Musical, in all of the pre-Broadway developmental workshops. For 2 years, he originated this part so much so that he received royalties. He still receives royalties for having played and half created the said part in the musical. And he has some crazy town stories about his time working on Shrek from, with people that you had no idea were involved in the developmental workshops of Shrek. And he went to AMDA and, and was on a musical theater trajectory for so long and worked with former guest Tim Weil, who was the music director for Shrek. So, that's kind of how we got connected. And I like I said, I can't believe, and he was just the most gracious guy and so kind and lovely and incredibly talented. And now he is doing a new show that he just announced is happening in May in LA, where he's going to be discussing the stories from the show that he just came off of, the in real life Big Time Rush tour. Big Time Rush has reunited since the 2020s and has gone on, I believe, 3 tours now, if not 4 tours now. And their most recent one, they traveled the entire world, the entire planet. And Steven opened for them because he just had a hit song, Crazy, that went super viral, especially on TikTok, crossed 8 billion views, and was reposted by Addison Rae and Diplo and all these super fancy, incredible people. And Steven is a fancy person himself because he got to tour the planet with Big Time Rush, going to Australia and Poland and a bunch of places in Europe, Amsterdam, and then before that toured the entire country. And I was there. I was at the Hershey Park show. He didn't even realize that, but I broke the news to him on the podcast. I was like, I was there this year because I needed to see you, and I needed to see them do every song from every episode. Dude, it was like, how do I explain? I don't know if you guys are getting it. This is an incredible thing. I'm here in my gamer chair doing our second ever virtual episode, and while I love getting the people that we've gotten the chance to chat to on these virtual episodes. You know, I try to keep the episodes in person oftentimes, but this one needed to happen, man. It needed to happen. I couldn't wait for Steven to come to New York. I had to meet him halfway virtually in LA because this is someone that I've watched and has been such a huge part of my childhood for so long. And getting the chance to chat with him was... it was just like, I'm out of words, you know? I'm out of words. So we're talking to Steven. Oh my gosh, Elbi. Can't even get the words out. Let's get to it. There's no need for me to gush any more than I'm already have done all day. This is Steven Kramer Glickman's I Want to Be Like You. 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 You know, yeah, that Jerry Zaks interview was it was a pinch me moment for sure. It was one of those that I was like, I cannot even believe that we're doing this right now. I can't believe my life right now. And I have to tell you, I feel similarly about this moment right now.
Get out of here.
No, you have to know this. I am like, I'm sure you hear this all the time, but I am such a huge Big Time Rush fan. I was, as a kid, so I'm going to geek out to you for a moment, and then we can actually, then you'll know I'm a normal person, okay? But if I could, I literally was speaking to my mom and like my sister, my brother. My brother is usually our technician, and he's not here right now. He moved to Oklahoma, but I told him about this, and he was freaking out because we grew up on Big Time Rush in such a profound way. Like so I'm gonna be a geek for a moment. Please don't think I'm that weird. I'm a little weird, not that weird.
Elbi, you're awesome. This is awesome.
These are my Big Time Rush CDs.
Oh my god! Oh my god! You really have them. That's amazing.
I'm old school. These new school Big Time Rush fans don't even know. You know what I'm saying? I went to the store. They were my first CD ever. Okay. On top of this, I wrote my own Big Time Rush, okay? Because I always wanted to be an actor and like a writer and whatnot. And so I was like, I'm going to write my own version of Big Time Rush. We went 8 seasons, so maybe you should have been in my version.
Yeah, that would have been great.
But
that would have been very helpful.
I like filmed my own songs and whatnot and then created my own CDs.
Okay? No way.
Yeah, these are like CDs from when I was like, I don't know, 10 or something. And this is my track list. Okay. It's like,
oh my God.
Yeah, it's great.
Amazing.
It's like, yeah, it's been a thing my whole life. I brought out all my Big Time Rush memorabilia. It's like season 1 fully on DVD. I am a huge Big Time Rush fan.
Dude, you know what? No joke. I'm sitting at my desk right now in my little home office, and here's a Bop magazine with the boys on it right here for the first time back in, wait, when is this? This is May 2011. If I saw them on the cover of any magazines back in the day, I would just go buy the magazine. Like I was like, yeah, gotta support my dogs, you know?
Yeah.
I think I have a Big Time Rush script in my desk. I'm 90% sure I do. 'Cause I have one right here. Oh, this is crazy. You ready for this? This is from Scott Fellows. It says, "To the man who saved the show, you rock, Scott Fellows." And it's signed by James Kendall Logan Carlos. And it's the name of the show is Brand New Day. And it's the first version of the audition script, which was October 24th, 2008.
Whoa.
Isn't that crazy?
And so the show was originally called Brand New Day?
Yeah. Yeah. That was going to be it's after they did the original pilot that they were like, "Oh, I know we have to name the show the name of the band." And so then they were like, "We have to come up with a good name for the band," cuz I think the name for the band kind of switched around a little bit when we were doing the pilot. But
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, because so in that pilot, their band name was Brand New Day, or was it Big Time Rush?
I think so. I think it was. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So all this being said, it is literally it's like it's crazy to be talking to you. This is a childhood dream come true. I mean that wholeheartedly. And beyond that, I've been a fan of yours. Beyond that, I've listened to you on plenty of podcasts and so this is like a thrill. And thank you so much for doing this.
Well, thank you for having me on. I'm a fan of your show, and the like that Jerry Zach's episode like blew me away. But then it was the Tim Weil episode that sucked me in, where I had to go back and rewatch like tons of your show and everything.
Oh,
But
very sweet.
Tim, that it got me reconnected with Tim. Like you
No
helped me
way.
reconnect with my boy, and
Wow.
him and I spent like almost 2 hours on the phone having this like great call and reconnecting after, like 10, 15 years of not being in
Wow.
communication. So,
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
the last time I saw him was, oh my God, 2006, seven, somewhere in there.
That is
6, 7.
wild.
Yeah, that was the last time that I saw him. So it was
And
really
and
intense.
wow, that's so so I take class with Randy, who's his wife,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, and so she was the one, and she actually is from where I'm from. She used to live like 10 minutes down the road, and so she went to my college and everything. And I was like, hey, Randy, I was like, I reached out to her, I'd never met her, and I was like, and she was also good friends with the woman who got me into theater in the first place. So I was like, hey, Randy, like I would love for you to come on the show. She's a Tony Award winner. I was like, I would love for you to come on the show, and she was the one who I started taking class with her and whatnot. She was like, my husband's coming out with a book. He was the original music director of Rent. And I was like, yes, 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 and yes, of course. I was like, of course. So and
So
he's just
gnarly.
like, what an awesome dude. And that book is incredible. And like we had such a great chat with him. It's like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So it's so funny. It's so funny
amazing.
how small the world is in like a capacity that you don't even realize. Um
Hmm.
yeah. I'm
Mm.
gonna do my formal little welcome to I Want to Be Like You with Elbi Cespedes. I want to introduce you all to Stephen Kramer Glickman, man. And this is a guest that needs no introduction. Are you kidding? Uh Gustavo Rocque himself. So we start the podcast with the same question every time, and it is, who was your I Want to Be Like You when you were a kid?
Oh, Robin Williams.
Oh wow.
Very specifically, well, I'd say there's two. Can there be two?
Yeah, of course.
Is that cool?
Oh yeah, of course.
When I saw Fiddler on the Roof for the first time, I was probably about 6 or 7,
Mm,
and I saw Topol and I was like, oh, well, I want to look like that. Like, I want to look like that. I want to sound like that. I want to be
right,
that. Like, when does that happen? Like, when do I get to
right.
be that? Like,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
think I was, oh my gosh, 14 when I sang "If I Were a Rich Man" for the first time on stage in like a best of Broadway like little concert, and by the time I was 16, I had a full beard, which, by the way, girls love that. Like when you're 16 and you have a full big Jewish beard, they love it. Yeah, you can't keep them away. So I think I did Fiddler 4 times throughout my childhood, and
whoa,
I was just, I mean, like through my teenage years, like I did it and if there was a community theater, I was gonna do it. Like I was all
wow.
about playing Tevye and doing like I kept the beard for everything, and um,
Did you do
it
Tevye
was.
as a kid?
Oh yeah, I mean, I did Tevye at 16, at 17, at 18,
Oh
and
gosh.
then again at like 22 or something, like 21, 22. And I haven't done it since. It is 100% the role that I am like like I've talked to all the agents. I'm like,
Yeah,
find a way for me to do this soon. I have
yeah.
like I even have like a pitch like that and a script that I've written for a TV
Whoa,
show version, like an
whoa,
HBO limited series TV version
wow,
of a Tevye the Dairyman story, and it is so
wow.
good. And I've like been obsessed for a very long time with all of that. So,
I mean,
um,
understandably so. That show is one of the greatest to have ever existed.
oh, and and then I had like a cool thing happen when I was like 20 or 22, and I did it down in San Diego at some like community theater. um Word got around town that I was doing like a really special production, that our rabbi from our synagogue was going to play the rabbi in it, and all these like fun people that I knew from around town were going to step in and play little roles. And the word got back to this photographer who had been on the set of the movie and shot the artwork for the poster and for the stuff for the movie. Like he was there shooting all of those photos, and he had hundreds of photos from the set, and so he lent us photos for the poster. And it was like things like that where like it was like, okay, this is always going to be somehow intertwined. So that Topol, and then the other, on the other side of the spectrum, it was Robin Williams, because I saw Aladdin and I remember him doing all these different voices
Yeah.
and playing a bunch of different characters and playing the genie, but playing the genie doing a bunch of different voices. And I was like, I don't know how you get to do that, but I will find a way to that. And then his stand up was amazing, and his acting and all sorts of different things like TV and movies and everything. He was just so damn good. And I just wanted to be able to do that, like where you get to go from like comedies to dramas to television shows to special appearances to cameos to voiceover. Like the guy just was unbelievable. And when I did a movie called Storks with
Yeah.
Andy Sandberg and Jen Aniston, and when I did that, I got to play four animated characters that talk all to each other in the same scene. And it was
Yeah.
like, I'm getting to do the thing,
Yeah.
like it just
Yeah.
felt like, oh, I get to do the thing from like the dream,
Yeah. How old
so
were you when you like watched Aladdin and discovered who Robin Williams was?
I think I discovered him when I was probably about 10 years old, 8, 9,
Yeah.
10, somewhere in there. I mean, the most formidable stuff, like the stuff that like changed my, you know, DNA, probably is like Star Wars.
Yeah.
That was like
Yeah.
huge in my childhood. Musical theater, huge. And maybe like Marvel and
Yeah.
getting into nerdy stuff. But
For sure. Sure.
yeah, oh my god, I mean, I grew up on Nickelodeon. I grew up watching all of those shows, and
Wow.
it like I I kind of was like, with Nickelodeon, you kind of go into it going like, well, it's who knows what this could lead to. It could lead to more, it could lead to nothing. Like
Right.
there were
Right.
actresses and actors on Nickelodeon when I was a kid who we've never seen again, and there are actors and
Yeah.
actresses on Nickelodeon from when I was a kid who are ginormous stars. So
Right.
it was like it could go any which way. There's nothing promised. It's like just go in, have the best time, and hope for the best.
Right. Yeah. For sure.
Mhm.
So you're from Ontario, Canada,
Yeah,
right?
from London, Ontario. Yeah.
Nice. And so you grew up in California, is that right?
Hmm.
How old were you
And
when you moved to Cali?
it's about 6 years old, about five,
Nice.
6 years old.
Okay, gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah,
I wrote this down because it was an interesting connection that the two of us have. You're Jewish of Russian descent. Is that right?
yeah, yeah.
I'm also a Russian Jew, although
No way!
I may not look it. I don't get cast as it, but I am.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
yeah,
How
yeah,
how
yeah.
was
So
that?
it's funny when I saw that I was like, was your family like especially Russian or no?
It was like half my family was Russian, the other half was Lithuanian and
Okay.
Polish. So
Oh, fun.
all the little villages,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they were from all these little places. I was just in Poland, and I got
Incredible.
to like see some of that out there, and it was like it was wild. It was wild
Like where your
to
family's
think
from?
yeah, to think like where we all come from is just
Yeah.
fascinating.
It
Yeah,
is.
it's
It's
amazing.
super fascinating, and I think, and to that point about like Fiddler and whatnot, is like I the profound effect that it has on someone of Jewish heritage for your family. I mean, like I know people who aren't as into musicals, but if they're Jews from anywhere around the world, Fiddler means something to them. The amount of weddings I've gone to that have sunrise sunset as the father daughter dance, you know, like I mean,
Yeah.
so much of that. So yeah, no, it was just an interesting connection when I clocked that. I was like, oh wow.
I love that. Not not to talk your ear off about Fiddler on the Roof forever,
No,
but
do it.
um the thing that I love about that show is that, like, it's the most successful Broadway musical to ever run in Japan.
How crazy,
Like, it's like any time that a family of like that is built on traditions and like rules and trying to keep a people together, anytime they watch that show, like it resonates. It just resonates with people from all over the world. And it's that I love that it does that, because that you know makes it just more, it just makes it a really special piece of work.
yeah, it's funny. So like Randy, Tim's wife, played Golda on Broadway with Alfred Molina, and she goes, yeah, and she was like, when she was on the show, she was like, you know, in Japan, they were like, it's so funny. It's as if you guys wrote this show for us, and it's like it's universal. You know, it's so
Wow.
specific that it's universal. Um,
Yeah.
I want
And
to
you know
ask you,
what? Real quick,
yeah.
when I wrote a TV show, I wrote a TV show for Fox a couple of years ago, 2019.
Uh-huh.
I wrote a series that Mel Brooks was the executive producer of, which is a crazy thing. And it didn't go to series. It was they um I got to join the WGA, and we sold it, and I got to write the show, and then we turned it in February of 2020. And then March of 2020 everything shut down, and everything got shelved, and it was very sad. But when I was writing it, I remember this executive over at Fox was like, "No, no, no. Go more specific. Go the more specific you are writing, the more people will relate to it. Like, if it feels too personal, put it in,
Right.
because the more personal you get, the better it's going to be, the more that people will appreciate it." And it really helped. Like, it really took us far. So,
Right, because you'd think that you'd want to appeal to the masses when in
right.
fact going specific is appealing to the masses.
Exactly. Yeah. It's,
Yeah.
it's counterintuitive. Is that the
Yeah,
right word?
counterintuitive. Yeah.
There we go.
What is this show? Now I need to know more about the show. What is this Mel Brooks produced show that never went? And let's bring some light on it and bring it back to the forefront here.
It was called First on the Block, and it was about uh, a mother going through a divorce in a neighborhood where, like, everyone's still married, and she has to, like, like, raise her kids on her own. It's like about like a single mom in the 1980s, kind of being this like funny, like irreverent character. And I was raised by a single mom, so it was basically me writing about my mom.
Right.
And then Mel Brooks was also raised by a single mom, so
Oh
it,
wow.
it was he read the treatment for it, and the tests, like episodes, like I wrote a show bible for it, and
Right.
he read it and like really related to it, and got on board. And then
Wow.
we started working on I got to work at Brooks Films at his office for about 6 months, which was just crazy, because he was working on Spaceballs in the at that time with Dana Gould, the comedian and writer. So
Right.
they were there working on that, and I
On the
was,
new one.
yeah, the new one. and I
Yeah,
was in another office in the same, I had my own little office, and I would sit in there and write, and then he'd come in and he'd go, "What's so funny?" And we would have these moments, and I would go, "I think this is good," and I'd read him a scene, and he'd go, "All right, this is okay. This could be a thing," and I'd go, "Thanks, Mel," and then he'd walk out, and I'd be like, "Oh my god!" Like I I've had so many panic attacks while working there, because it's like, you always want to be great for him,
of
but
course.
he was amazing. He was just amazing to work with,
Man,
and
that's unbelievable. And talk about, I mean, you're saying this is 2019. The man just turned 99. He was like, what? Like, what's the math on that? 7 years? He was like 92 years old,
yeah, 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 yeah,
working at
yeah.
that level. Like,
Oh, outrageous. Every day, he'd
yeah.
he would he'd come into the room at the end of the day and be like, "What's funny today? What did you come up
Wow.
with?" And then I would go, "All right, well, this is the scene, and this is what we did." And we did a big table read, and the table read was awesome. And we had Martin Starr was
Wow. Yeah.
he was in it, and the whole cast was like pretty incredible. We had some really funny, brilliant people in there, and even, which is really cool, Sierra Bravo from Big Time Rush
Yeah.
came in
Yeah.
and played one of the roles in it, and she was
Wow. How
fantastic.
cool.
So
And so
yeah,
were you
we
tasked to
got
write
we
this?
got real close. We got real close. So maybe at some point,
Yeah.
we'll get to. And we own it again. Mel
Oh,
and I
that's
own the script again.
that's really
So
special.
yeah, it took a while to get it back,
Yeah,
but yeah.
that's like unheard of. That's incredible that that happened.
Yeah, he literally called the network and was like, "You're not gonna do it. Give it back to us." And they were like, "Okay."
That that is
we
that feels like an incredible rarity in Hollywood. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, because they fucking paid for it.
Yeah.
Like, they paid a lot of money for it.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for them to just be like, "Sure, here you go." Like, they weren't gonna fight with him, so
It's Mel Brooks and he's in his 90s. Like,
yeah, just give him the script. Just like, what are
that's
you
crazy.
doing?
And
Let him have it.
you were tasked to write this by yourself in that office? Or did you
Yeah,
have a group?
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Yeah, it was definitely I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Um when I was like working on the show and writing and stuff, what was happening is they would say to me, the network would go, "Okay, Steven, we read the latest version of the script. Here is 26 notes to like of things to change and work on." And I would go, "Okay." And then they'd go, "If you can, please have the new version back to us in 2 weeks." And I would go, "Yeah, 2 weeks. Don't worry about this. I got this. Fix it right now." And I would sit and I'd go through it and I'd fix all their changes within like 3 days. And then I would send it over right away and be like, "Here you go, fixed it." And then they'd be like, "Okay, all right, thanks so much, for being on top of this and whatever." And I just kept doing that. So if they were like, "Okay, we have little fixes. Can you change this? Can you get it back to us in the next 2 weeks?" I would have it back to them within, sometimes within hours, because I wanted to make the show so
To go
bad.
so bad. Yeah, right.
And Floyd Norman, the Disney legend, we were talking, and I told him that, and he was like, "Never, ever, ever do that. Never. If they say 2 weeks, it means they've got a lot of other things on their plate. Leave them alone. Don't take 2 weeks. Take a month. Like, make them wait for the notes. Like, take a couple weeks to turn it in. Don't ever turn anything in early. They are those people need that time. So
Wow.
leave them alone, and then go back to them, when they've asked you to, or even after they've asked you to, just to establish that you're the creative person and
Right.
they're the corporate person,
Right. Right.
and that was a huge piece of advice that I have taken and kind of been like, "Okay, I'm gonna clarify with folks a little bit in the future, like when I do things like, you know, how how to establish that sort of, because I just wanted to make it. So I was like,
Yeah,
I
of
was just,
course.
yeah, I was like running to get it done. And instead I should have held out just a little bit longer, maybe just
That's
to
so interesting. But
establish
you
that.
would
But
never. There's no way you could have possibly ever known that.
no, no, there's things that you learn along the way, like, um, when we were getting ready for the Big Time Rush tour, the merch company reached out and they had asked for merch from someone else that was working on the tour. And when that person sent in merch, it was rejected. So then they came to me and went, "Hey, we need your merch designs and we need them today. We need them immediately because these other merch designs got rejected. So we need yours right away. Like we have to see them." And I was like, "They're not ready." Like
Right.
I'm working with like three different artists. I'm working with the artist who did all the art for Liquid Death, which
Mm,
is like super cool. I'm working
yeah.
with my tattoo artist, Mario Delgado, who's done everything I've ever done, posters and album art and everything. And he's painting, literally painting like artwork for the tour. And another artist, and I was like, you have to just like, I need my time. And they were like, you don't have time, we need it today. And they were like really rough. And I was like, I don't have it. Like, I'm not going to
Right.
turn in half done stuff.
Right.
And I was feeling really frustrated and really stressed out. And I was driving around Hollywood that day and they're calling me and I'm ignoring phone calls, which is not like me. And I was really feeling in my feels. And I
Yeah.
stopped in a little Vietnamese restaurant in West Hollywood. And I walk in, and there's only one person in the restaurant, and it's Hannibal Buress. And
Oh my God.
Hannibal and I have known each other for about almost 20 years in stand up.
Whoa.
But we don't see each other very often, but we know each other well. And I go, Hannibal, and he's like, Glickman. And I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, what's up with you? What are you doing? Are you getting some food? You want to sit? And I was like, yes, I do. And I get my food, I sit down, and he goes, what's been going on? I go, it's been a rough day. And he's like, why? And I was like, oh, these people, they're really pushing me for this artwork, and um, and it's really frustrating, and I'm not ready. And he goes, let me tell you something, Steven. There are people who provide things, and there are people who take things. We are people who provide things.
Mm.
Make them wait. And I was like, okay, all right, that's good advice. And he was like, let him wait, man. Like, we're out here making stuff. There's people that are making and there's people who are taken, and those guys are taken, and we're making. So let's just wait. You make them wait till you're ready. And I was like, okay, Hannibal Buress. And then I was like, what are you doing today? And he was like, I'm doing the John Mulaney show today. And I was like, oh yeah? And he was like, yeah, the contract sucks though. But they want me to sign it and I don't want to sign it. I'm not ready. But I'm gonna make them wait. And then I'm gonna sign it when I'm damn well ready. And I go, when are you taping? And he goes, an hour and a half from now. I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, I'm going to go walk over to the studio soon. I guess I'll have to sign it if I'm going to go do the
Oh my
show.
God.
And I was like, wow. I was like, this man practices what he preaches. He is the real deal. And he
That's
was awesome.
crazy. That
But
is
it
awesome.
really made me like check myself a little bit and be like, you
Sure.
know what? Yeah, like we're creating stuff and they're just gonna take our art and go do the thing and whatever. So it's like,
Right.
whatever. Just take your time. Take your time.
Yeah.
Don't feel rushed by everybody else.
Yeah. That's super interesting. That's wild.
Yeah.
So you went to AMDA for when did you decide that you were gonna be like that? You're like, I'm gonna take this up professionally. That being theater or acting at all.
Oh, there was no decision. It was, I am not good at anything else. Like, I am the worst student, bad
Sure.
at math. I can write, but besides that, it was like there was no skills. It wasn't like, should I go play professional football or should I go to musical theater school? There was no other choice. And when I went and met with like a career counselor, for colleges, and she
Right.
was like, yeah, don't even apply to universities. Like, just go to
Wow.
conservatories. Like, she was like, there's no way this is going to work out for you any other way. And I applied to two schools:
Yeah.
the Pacific Conservatory of the Performing Arts, PCPA, up in Northern California,
Wow.
um, which I went and visited, and it was all right. And then there was the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in Los Angeles, and I grew up in San Diego, so I was like, I guess I'll just. My mom had also just beat cancer, and
Whoa.
it was very, very scary. So she had
Wow.
just beat it, so thank God she's fine.
Yeah.
But I was like, LA is good. I'll stay closer, And I started at that school, and two things happened. Three things happened. Three things happened at that school. First thing that happened was, in an acting class, a teacher said, "Okay, what is the most important thing you can do for casting when you're going in for an audition?" And a kid raised his hand and said, "Buy drugs for the casting director." And the teacher went, "No, no, no, seriously." And then he went, "No, it worked for my friend. He brought cocaine to an audition and he got it." And then someone else was like, "Really? Does weed work?" And he was like, "It does, but like not as much." And they got into this big discussion in class about the proper drugs to bring to casting directors. And you got to remember, this is like 1997. And
Right.
I was like, oh, I do not fit in here at all. Like
Sure.
everyone seemed very, like, it wasn't like people were joking. They were talking dead seriously about where to buy and who to give to and how to do it. And I was like, oh, get
Wow.
me out of here. So that was first incident. Second incident was, I had an acting teacher who said, "There's no thought in the process of acting. It's all visceral, being built by the offstage thought process." And that, meaning that you build the work, you learn the character, you learn the lines, you get it done, and then you walk out and you let it go, you let it feed the work, so you're not on stage thinking about the work, you're just naturally doing the work
Right.
because you've built it so strongly off stage, which came in extreme handy on this tour, because I treated those performances like they were an acting job in a lot of ways, because I had never performed for like 25,000 people a show. Like, I'd never done shows for like, 20,000 people. That never happened. So I had to like prepare myself for months of rehearsing and imagining them out there, so that when I got out there, I was ready. I was in it, So his advice, Harvey Solon was the name of the teacher, changed my life, helped me
Yeah.
enormously.
Super interesting.
And then the final big thing was, I had a teacher named, I believe his name was John Peck. He had been in the original cast of Brigadoon on Broadway, and he was my
Whoa.
musical theater teacher. And he turned to me one day and went, I sang Giants in the Sky. And he went, "You're not supposed to be at the school." you're supposed to be in New York. You're supposed to be at AMDA. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. And he was like, let me take you to the audition. I will take you to the AMDA audition and you can go and audition for that school. And I'll help you with the paperwork and everything like this. And he did. And
Wow.
word got back to the principal of the American Academy of Dramatic Arts that I was auditioning, and he told me to my face, if you're auditioning for that school, you're out. Like we're not gonna invite you back for another year at ADA.
Oh.
If you're already gonna go look at another school, then you can kind of get screwed basically. And so thankfully I auditioned and I got in, and then I left to New York and then went to AMDA, and it was an extremely good school. Everybody
Yeah.
was every single person in my class was talented. Like everybody's voice was amazing. Like everyone was just it was like triple threats across the board, you know? Like
Right.
everyone was so cool. So and I'm still very good friends with a lot of the people that I went to school
Oh, that's
with.
awesome.
Like yeah, everyone was incredible. And the thing that I loved is that the first semester you have to learn 100 musicals from before 1960, I
Whoa.
believe. So your knowledge is nuts. Like
Sure.
you end up knowing all the
Right.
stuff, you know,
Right.
and
Right.
falling in love with musicals that like most people don't know, or
Yeah.
you know, singing songs from crazy show. And then, of course, you go and audition for something and you sing a song from The Rink, and the casting director's like, AMDA, you know, like they just know. They're like,
That's so
ah,
funny.
it's another
Yeah.
AMDA kid singing a weird
Gosh, I love
song.
the rink. Yeah, that's so wild. That's so cool. Was that your first time in New York?
Um, I went to New York when I was about 14 years old, and I went to go see the Who's Tommy
Wow.
on Broadway, and I was very excited. And I was staying in a hotel with my mom and my sister, and I went, I'm gonna go take a walk around Times Square on my own and just have an adventure, having a little adventure. And I had $100 in cash in my wallet, and
Uh,
I went down and I went to one of those like peep shows, like the sexy lady peep shows,
oh
and I
my
walked
gosh.
up and I tried to walk in, and they went, how old are you? And I went, 18. And they went, no, you're not. Get out of here. And I was like, okay. And I turn around, and a guy walks up and he goes, you want to see some sexy ladies? And I go, I do. Like 14. I'm like, I do want to see some sexy ladies. And he goes, how much money do you got? And I go, I got $100. And he takes it out of my hand. He just grabs it out of my hand, and he walks away, and I walk after him, and I'm like, where are you going, sir? Where are you going? I'm walking down the street. Hello? And then he high fives another guy, and then that guy walks the other way, and I go, wait, hey, hello? And I like tapped the guy he high fived, and the guy turned around and was like, get out of here, pervert. And I was like, ah, and like went back up to the hotel. And my mom was like, where's your $100? And I was like, I've been robbed. And she was like, what? And I was like, I don't know what happened. She was like, oh my God, Steven. And I
That
didn't
is
tell
a
her what it was.
crazy
I
New
wouldn't
York
say what
story.
happened. I was just like, I just went for a walk and somebody stole my money. It was, I was so embarrassing. I was such a
That is
dork.
a crazy New York story, though. That is a true New York story, especially New York in the '90s. That is epic. That's crazy.
Yeah, straight up, like pre Lion King,
Well,
like,
yeah, yeah, of course. Yes, even pre. That's like right on the cusp of like the Disneyfication, pre Beauty and the Beast. Um,
mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah, crazy town. That's so funny. So were you living? Or did AMDA provide how? Like you guys were housed in
Yeah,
there?
they put us on 85th and Broadway in
Nice.
the crappiest like dorm rooms with we had a bathroom we would share down the hallway,
Okay.
and you could rent the it was a hotel, like a crappy hotel, and you could rent a
Oh,
room for the night for like 25 bucks. So there were like creepy homeless people living in the, not to say, yeah,
of course.
unhoused. They were creepy
Sure, sure.
unhoused people.
Yeah.
That were real creepy. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
real, there were some scary folks in there. And when you're like 18, 19 years old in New York City for the first time from, like Alabama, and then you've got, these like creepy folks walking around too. Like yeah, it was a little
Maybe if you would have
sketch.
sang them a song from The Rink, they would have been so
Right.
moved they would have just backed off.
Marry me. And they're just like, ah, you
They're
know.
like, oh, okay. They're like, no, we're good. We're good. Take everything we have.
Oh, I saw crazy stuff living in that building. Like it was a wild time, man. It
Yeah,
was it was a
I'm sure.
wild place to live,
I'm sure. That's so
I
crazy.
I loved it. I mean, I lived there. I graduated in 2000, and
Uh-huh.
when I graduated from that school, I did something kind of insane. I had directed a couple of plays back home in San Diego, and there
Yeah.
was a couple musicals I had directed, and so I had fallen in love with this play in school called Suburbia by Eric Bogosian,
Yeah.
and I related to it a lot, and I spent a lot of time hanging out in front of a 7-Eleven in my hometown with like kids that I went to school with and kids that were dropouts, and
Sure.
like goth girls and the whole, and I just loved it. I just wanted to do it. And so I found a theater on the Lower East Side, and I reached out to Eric Bogosian's playwright company that owns the rights, and I said, "Hi, I would like to do this production in New York." And they said, "No, that we don't do shows in New York. You can't get the rights to do it in the city of New York unless you're a school.
Right.
It's not possible." And I was like, "Can I write a letter to Mr. Bogosian of why I should be the one to direct like an off Broadway production of this?" And I'll get it funded myself, and I'll do the whole thing. Like, can you let me like write a letter? And they were like, "Sure, kid." And so at like 20 years old, I wrote this letter to Eric Bogosian
Whoa.
explaining why I should be the person to do this. And we got a letter back, and it said, Eric Bogosian has said yes to letting you have the rights to do this show off Broadway, and
Whoa.
it'll be like an official off Broadway show. And like huge. And I responded, "Great. Here are the 26 changes to the script to update it to present day." Because in the script, at the beginning, it says should be updated constantly for current references.
Right.
And the show was written, like 10, 15 years prior. So some references didn't make sense anymore. So I did that, and he wrote back, "You're a ballsy motherfucker. Here are the 5 changes you can make." And he let
Wow.
us have our little changes. And then I took that and I knew a lady at Warner Brothers Records that I had met through like a friend of a friend. And I wrote
Yeah.
to her and was like, "We want to use music for the soundtrack, to play live on stage."
Right.
And she was like, instead of just, being like, "I'm just going to do it and ask for forgiveness," I was like, let's make it legit. And so I went to her, and she was like, "Warner Brothers Records will give you the rights to have these play on stage for these 8 songs or whatever." So we got Nine Inch Nails. We got
Whoa.
Rage Against the Machine and a bunch
Oh,
of stuff
cool.
to like have in our live soundtrack on stage, which was pretty damn cool. And then I took that together and I went to a clothing store that had just opened up in on 72nd and Broadway. And I was
Yeah.
like, hey, we don't have money for wardrobe. Why don't you give us clothing and then you can hold my credit card, which has no money on it. But I was like, you can hold my credit card and I will give you your clothes back at the end of the run and you can say they were all damaged, or whatever, and get your money and we'll put you on the poster. And Urban Outfitters was like, sure, sounds great. And they were brand new. So
Wow.
our poster had Warner Brothers Records and Urban Outfitters on it, and it was awesome. It
Where
was
did you guys do it?
freaking. We did it at a little theater, a tiny little theater in on like Lower East Side, and
Wow.
it was so neat. I know the poster is somewhere in my home,
That's
and it has
incredible.
it,
I
but.
mean, talk about going for something on your own. I mean, like that seems to be a huge trajectory and a huge fire under you. That's something that you do often.
Well, the thing is, Elby, it's like we made no money putting
Yeah.
on this show. Like I lost money, like a couple grand of like money I borrowed from people and had to pay them back later and stuff. Like I lost a bunch of money, but when I came home to San Diego after this was done and like came home from school and like went and met with the community theaters in San Diego, I was an off Broadway director.
Yeah.
So it was like a big win because then I
Yeah.
could get a job at a community theater and get paid good money and be able to demand, that like, oh, I get to do this or get to do that. And, those credits, in the early days when you're starting out, those types of credits are like
Huge.
extremely valuable, hugely valuable. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
For sure. I
Mm.
want to ask you. So then, were you on the path of theater? Were you auditioning for theater, and was that your primary, even though you went back home?
So what happened was um t- per- I went and I auditioned for a couple of shows. I waited in line at open calls in New York with like 200 people, or would wait I waited on the street for 22 hours to audition for Rent. And I finally made it inside and I sang a couple of bars of a song and I finished and the casting director went, "Great, thank you." And I went, "What what could I have done better?" And she went, "You did great. You did great. Thank you so much." And I went, "No, I understand. I waited for 22 hours to audition for this. So, is there anything that you can give me? Any advice at all?" And she went, "No, no, no. You were great. You were great. You did so good. Thank you again for coming." And I went, like, save me, please.
Yeah.
Tell me what I'm doing wrong. And she
Right.
went, "There's no fat people in Rent."
She said that.
And I went, "Oh my God. Like, of course there isn't. Like, why am I auditioning for this? Like, just because I love a musical doesn't mean I'm right for a musical." And I went through all those years of music, growing up doing musical theater, and all those years of conservatory. I never once heard anyone say to me, just because you love a musical doesn't mean you're right for it. Like, it never once clicked. And it was a mean thing to say, but it also was enough for me to be like, yeah, maybe I just need to find something that I'm right for, like
Well, yeah.
maybe. But
Yeah.
also, as Adam Pascal was on my podcast, and him and I have become buddies, which is so sick. And
Super cool.
he was like, "There's been lots of fat people in Rent. Like, what are
Well,
you talking about?"
I was gonna say this is not that is definitely not the reason because I think that you could work as many a role in Rent. I don't think that that's the reason that you should be
Well,
discouraged from auditioning from Rent.
also at the time, I weigh 262 pounds right now, but at the time, and when we made Big Time Rush, I weighed 380, so I was much bigger than I am now. But still, there have been lots of big folks
It's
in
not
that
that's
show.
yeah.
It just, but it that's how she felt. That's how casting felt that day, and they let me know. And but it so what ended up happening is I at the time had a girlfriend, and my girlfriend at the time was a musical theater person, and she and I talked about it because I had auditioned for a bunch of stuff and wasn't getting anywhere, and she was auditioning for some stuff and getting callbacks. And I wanted to get, I mean, she wanted to get married. I wanted to get married. We talked about it, and she was like, "Hey, if you, there was a job that was open to work at Pac Bell, the phone company in New York, and be a telephone installer for like buildings and stuff. And it paid like $100,000 a year. And we knew someone that worked there, and they were hiring, and what her and I came up with was, I will quit auditioning and trying to be an actor, and I will go work for the phone company, and she will continue being an actress, and I will support her career." Right? So great, super healthy. And then later we can switch, when we have
Yeah.
enough money, I can go back and go after my dreams.
And start from square
And
one.
yeah, totally. And I was like, this sounds great. We're going to get married. So I talked to the folks, and they were like, yep, you can start work on Monday. And I was like, amazing. And we called our parents at like 20 years old. We called our parents and we're like, we're going to get married. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. And I went in for my first day at Pac Bell. And when I arrived, they immediately let me know that the job had gone to someone else. And I went home and I told her that I did not get the job. And then she told me that it was for the best because she had been cheating on me for 6 months.
Oh my god.
So then she moved out, gone. She was like kind of living with me a little bit. So she moves out, lose the girlfriend, lose the engagement, job is gone. I've got nothing. I've got nothing. And I am like so depressed. And then I just was like, forget all of this, and I like moved home to San Diego. And when I got there, that's when a community theater was like, we're looking for a director for a new production of Fiddler on the Roof. And I was like, I'll take it.
Yeah.
And then I did that, and then that got me through the next couple of years, was like
Right.
doing community theater. And that led to getting cast in a absolutely ridiculous show called A Stoop on Orchard Street, which was a national touring show. And I took that job and went on tour and did like a full America Canada tour.
Wow.
And could not get a good review. Like, the reviews of the show everywhere we went were like, this is the worst thing to happen to Chicago since the earthquake. Like, I mean, like, they just hated us so much. But I got to see the country and perform a lot around America,
Right.
and it was great. And when that finally landed, the show finally landed in LA. To make a long story short, I we landed in LA at a the venue was flooded, so we had to wait a month for it to be cleaned up and able
Wow.
to be used. And in the bar attached to the hotel, there was a stand-up comedy night, and I was like, I want to do this. And then I asked if I could go up the next week, and I went up the next week, and then I quit the tour and moved on to a comedian's couch, and 20 years of
Rest
stand
is
up,
history. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
took me, it took my whole career in a different direction again, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Well, so then
Yeah.
how did Shrek come about to you?
That's exactly what happened is that led to me being the Friars Club piano player in Beverly Hills, and I would MC the Friars Club shows. So I get to do stand up, I get to sing at the piano, and then one of the managers of the Comedy Store offered me a job at the Comedy
Oh,
Store, and so then I started working at the store, and a comedian. Writer for SNL and a comic named Eric Marino came up to me in the office and was like, "Hey, there's a musical. Don't you sing, right?" I go, "Yeah." And he was like, "Yeah, there's a musical, Shrek the musical, and you should audition for Shrek." And I was like, "Oh, you should like go yourself. Like, I'm
yeah.
good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks
Right.
a lot. Like, what else should I audition for? Pac-Man the musical? Like,
Yeah. Right.
so
Yeah.
mean, dude. Oh, I'm the
Yeah.
perfect ogre? Thanks, dude. Like, so rude. And he just kept bugging me about it and being like, dude, those auditions are happening, man. You should go. And I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm like, and at the time,
You would kind of put it aside.
stand-ups at the time weren't doing other stuff. If you
Right.
were a comic, you were a comic. If you were a comic that was an actor, they looked at you as less than. If you were a comedian that also, could sing, they were like, what even is this? Like, it
Yeah.
was
Yeah. Yeah.
very like toxic and very like that's just not the way it worked.
Right.
And so I just like kind of blew it off. And then he came back a couple months later and was like, dude, they're having those auditions again for that Shrek thing. And I was like, dude, leave me alone. And he was like, trust me, man, you got to go out for this. They're really trying to find someone. And I told my family and I told my sister, and my sister was like, you have to do this. You have to go. And I was like, oh, Lord. And so I went to Screenland Studios in Burbank, and there was about 100 fat guys in the room, and the room smelled rough. And I was like, just what am I doing? And I sit down, and I have a headshot that my cousin printed on her printer, and I hand wrote one of my credits in. Like, it was just embarrassing. And I had the sheet music for the Bare Necessities, and I was like, that's something, you
So,
know. It's a fitting thing. He's a big guy. Baloo is a big guy. I was like, that's something. And the guy sitting next to me goes, "What are you singing?" And I go, "Bare Necessities." And he goes, "Why?" And I go, "Because I don't know. Why? What are you singing?" And he said, "I'm singing I Would Do Anything for Love by Meatloaf." And I was like, "Why?" And he goes, "Because it's a rock musical." And I was like, "It is?" And he was like, "Yeah, dude." And I was like, what am I like? Just forget it. I was like, this is such a waste. And I walked out to my car, pop my trunk, and I throw the sheet music in. And in my trunk, I had the Ray Charles handbook, music book. And I was like, and I took it and I walked back in and I sat there. They called me like second to last of everyone in the room
wow.
because I wasn't equity. So I was
Sure.
just
Sure.
open, all. And I go in, and it's Tara Rubin, the casting director, and
Wow.
Jason Moore, the director,
Wow.
who went on to do
Yeah.
Pitch Perfect. So it's the two of them,
Wow.
and I'm like, turn to the piano player, and I'm like, this is it. I go, it sounds like this, and I like play a little bit, and he was like, okay, and then I sang. Hey, mama, don't treat me wrong. Come and love you daddy all night long, right? Hey, hey, right. Do that. Finish. And Tara Rubin looks at Jason, and Jason looks at her, and then she looks at me and she goes, "We've been looking for you for 4 years."
That's
And I
chill.
go,
Yeah.
"What? Why?"
Yeah.
And she goes, "You're a comedian and you can sing like that and you look like this. Like you're perfect." And I was like, "For what?" And she was like, "For Shrek." And I was like, "Yeah, but you're going to get like a famous person, right?" And she went, "Well, maybe not. We don't know. Can you come back tomorrow? Can you do the Shrek voice?" And I went, "I don't. I mean, I guess I could learn the Shrek voice." And she
Yeah.
was like, "Can you come back tomorrow?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I guess. All right, you know." And I like walked out of there, and I was like, "What the hell?" And I like on the drive home, I stopped by a video store because those existed, and I bought a DVD for $20 of Shrek. And I was like, "There's $20 I'm never seeing again. Like, what a waste of money." And I went home and I watched the movie in my
Had you never seen it to
crappy.
that point?
Yeah, well, I'd seen it, of course. I
Sure,
just,
sure. Refreshing.
I love it. I love Mike Myers too. Like, I
Right.
was just like, but I was like, whatever, you know. So I go home. I really was like kind of whatever about it because it was like, there's no way this is not going to happen for me. Like
Right.
I hadn't had anything happen in my career at that point that I hadn't really just totally steamrolled myself like that Eric Bogosian thing. Like I really hadn't had anything else that was just
Right.
where I was part of someone else's thing, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I guess I'll, you know, and I think my head was still kind of in the place of being the guy who gave up his career so his ex could live her dream, you know? So I
Right.
really
Right.
didn't, I wasn't really in the headspace to be like, I'm gonna get this, you know?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
then I go home, I watch the movie, I finish watching it, and I started again from the beginning. And this time, every time Shrek says anything, I repeat it. And then I watched it a third time. And the third time I tried to say it with him and do his face in
Right.
the in like get his face.
Right.
And then the fourth time I watched it, I basically knew the entire movie now. So now I was just doing the scenes, you know, from the movie and being like, "Oh, princess. Oh, ogres are like onions," you know? And I was just like
Oh, that was
trying
so
my
spot
best
on.
to do the best I could. Donkey, donkey, you know? And I was like, I was really getting into it. And I went back the next day and I did Shrek for them. And they were like, "Can you come back in 2 days from now?" And I was like, "Sure." And they were like, "Okay, all right, come back in 2 days." And then it was another 2 days. And then it was 52 callbacks. 52. Took 3 months. They had to start paying me after the first month of callbacks. They also got me Bob Garrett, the voice coach, to work
Yeah.
with me and teach me, you know, some technique and stuff for some stuff that I didn't really have. And he was he's unbelievable. And they also sent me to Ivana Chubbuck, and I would go to her house, the acting teacher, and we would sit together, and she would be like, "The donkey is your father. The donkey is your father," you know, and like it was very it was fucking crazy, man. Like it was a
Crazy.
crazy time. I'd
It's,
be coming in as Paris Hilton was leaving her place, or the cast of Angel was rehearsing in her living room. Like
oh
it was
my God.
such a crazy
Well,
time period.
what's especially crazy to me and like just wonderful about the whole thing is too is that you after having a casting director tell you that your look is the reason why you didn't get a role, in this case your look is a huge contributor to the why you did, you know what I mean,
Right.
on top of your talent, but the fact that you looked the way you did, had you not, that
Yeah.
you wouldn't have been as fitting for that part, and that's a
Totally.
testament to the fact that like the perfect mold of how a person should look, or the idea of this Broadway body concept or whatever, is is not only dated but also not just untrue.
Yeah, yeah, no, 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 100%. And there's a weird little punchline to that, which is the day that I realized I would probably get let go from Shrek is the day that Jeffrey Katzenberg came in. I was in full prosthetics, full costume, and he walked up to my face and he went like this, Glickman, is this you? And I went, no, those are prosthetics. And he went, what about this? And I went, no, prosthetics. And he went like this, the jaw? I go, no, dude, it's prosthetics. And he went, so anyone could play this. And I was like, oh shit. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just lost this fucking show. And
Sure.
it was like a few months later we were about to get ready to go open the show, and that then they replaced me with Brian Darcy James.
Right.
They replaced Dean Edwards from SNL with the guy that played the donkey,
Yeah.
and the dragon was let go as well, and who just won a Tony.
I was gonna
Like
say, is
that
that was it
actress just won.
Alex who played the dragon?
No, it was Keisha Evans.
Oh my gosh! I did not know that.
Yeah, total Broadway legend.
Yeah, who
And we
must?
had Jen Simard was playing like a little tiny character in the show. Like she
Whoa.
was like the witch of Snow White or something like this. I have no idea. She had like a little role, and now she's like, people get her tattooed on them.
I
Like
was
she
gonna say
is a
she's kind of she's something of a genius. I mean, she's brilliant in everything I've ever seen her.
amazing.
She's amazing. Yeah, that's
It's
crazy.
it's really about, I mean, Keisha Lynn, not Celia Keenan Bolger
Oh yeah,
was
she was Fiona, right?
she was Fiona in the first reading that I did, and Maya Rudolph was in the reading before I was in the reading. So
Oh
the casts of that definitely shifted around, but I was there for almost 2 years working on it.
wow.
And I got very, very lucky. When they let me go, they gave me royalties on
Yeah,
it for 20 years.
that
So
is another
any
thing that's unheard of.
unheard of. On DreamWorks, God bless them, because for like any time for 20 years since the show opened, I get royalties for any SAG production. I mean, equity
Equity
production
production.
in the world. Yeah, for
That
sure.
is insane. That's huge. That's amazing.
Huge, huge, huge. And they had to buy out my contract too, which set
Right.
me up really well. But I
You
will.
had a first right of refusal.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then what had happened is, oh, so this is the the situation that brings me back to how this all started with you is Tim Weil goes. He was our musical director, and
Right.
so he had, he's amazing, and so they bring me in to work with him, and I don't know him, and he goes, "What song do you want to sing today?" I just want to hear your voice and hear what your range is like. Do you have anything that really shows your range off? And I go, yeah, I'll do one song, Glory from Rent. And he goes, are you sure you want to do that? And I go, yeah, why? And he goes, I just, like, why that song? And I go, because I kick the ass out of it. And he goes, okay, all right. And we sit down and he plays it and I sing it. And we finish and he goes, oh my God, thank God that went well. That was great. That was great. But thank God that went well. I go, why? He goes, Steven, I'm Tim Weil. I was the musical director on Rent since the beginning. And I was like, oh, just, bleh, like completely lost my shit.
That is so
And
funny.
just so
He had
stupid.
no idea the whole time, and he's probably thinking like, "Are you messing with me, man? You want to do the? Oh yeah, you think I'm the rent guy?"
Oh God, I was dying. It was so embarrassing and great at the same time. It was perfect. And what happened was is after I was let go from Shrek, I came back to LA and I was feeling pretty depressed, and he flew to LA to come have lunch with me, which is
Wow.
nuts. And we sat down in this restaurant, Saddle Ranch on Sunset Boulevard, and he went, "Why are you not in New York? Like, you need to be back in New York. You got to be auditioning. Everyone is knows you now, and there's so much that you could be doing, and then you can understudy Shrek like later, like after Brian's out, you can jump in, or you could do the first national tour, or there's
Right.
so much that you could do out there." And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Dude, come on, man. Like, don't give up like on that. Like, go see what you can do." And so I auditioned for Young Frankenstein, and Mel had me come out and meet with him and Susan Stroman to do what's it called, to do the monster, and
What?
to play the monster and to swing as Kemp, the guy with the robot arm,
Yeah.
and the blind old man. And so I was there reading and doing the things and singing for them and tap dancing. I was there for a week with just me, Mel, and Susan Stroman in the room. It was
And
nuts
you
and
guys were like in the
so
middle
much
of
fun.
work sessions?
Yeah, they were like work sessions where it was like they were trying different stuff with me, and they were having me sing different things and run scenes and everything, just to try to figure out how I was going to fit in. And while I was in the middle, and it was Sutton Foster had given a thumbs up, to them, which was very nice.
Oh,
And
that is
what
great.
ended up happening is, in the middle of my callbacks, like while I'm literally there, phone rings. It's my manager, and he goes, "Hey, Big Time Rush, that TV show got picked up, and they offered you a reoccurring on the show to play Gustavo, the manager of the band." And I go, "Oh my God, that's amazing." And I go, "Mel, check it out. I got offered a reoccurring on this TV show." And he goes, "Tell them you'll only do it if you're a series regular. If not, you're leaving on tour with me." And my manager goes, "Can you have him email that to us?" And he sent it as an email. That email went to Nickelodeon, and Nickelodeon went, Make him a series regular. It's fine."
What?
And
That is
that's
crazy.
and then I told him, I was like, "They made me a series regular," and he was like, "Get out of it, get out of New York, get your ass back to LA, go make a TV show." And I was like, "Bye, Mel. I'll see you in a couple years, I guess." And then that's literally how we ended up
Wow.
getting to work together again, is because that door stayed open all those years. So when I went back to Mel, 10 years later, and was like, "I've written a TV show," he was like, "Well, I want to hear it. Come in and pitch." So, and then he
Wow.
produced it.
That
So,
is that is like I'm so taken aback by this. Mel Brooks gave the blessing for you to be a series regular on Big Time.
1,000%. I just did an interview with Universal Pictures, and in the interview, I told that story because and they were like flipping out, because it's like, it's so random that life does, what happens in life. Like, you try, and I mean, being a reoccurring to being a series regular is a very different paycheck.
Huge, huge.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
Huge difference.
And to
Yeah.
get the blessing from Mel Brooks is crazy. I should tell you, and I always knock on wood. I might cut this part out for the sake of, I don't know if it. I always say nothing's official till it's official. We have Susan Stroman coming on tomorrow. So
Mm.
it's like even crazier. I'm literally in the middle of doing like Susan Stroman stuff. So it's crazier that you just said that, because I'm like, what the heck? That is such a crazy revelation.
Wow.
So I'll be
Oh
sure to
my
mention
God.
that to her tomorrow.
Please do. She is the greatest of all time.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. Yeah.
She
She's
really is.
an absolute legend.
Yeah,
That's another. I've got two other. Well, I've got so many shows I want to do, but Baker in Into the Woods has
absolutely.
been a dream my whole life.
Yeah,
And uh Max Bialystock in The
yeah. Of
Producers.
course, of
I
course.
do you know what's a wild thing? Do you know who I've talked to and who has talked to me back and forth for like the last 2 years, we've talked about doing Bialystok and Bloom together.
Who?
Logan.
No way. Is he a
Yeah,
musical
on
theater
this,
guy?
we just talked about it like a couple weeks ago. We were like, we got to do the producers together. Like, where can we do it? Should we go to try to get them to let us do it in London? Like, it's running right now. Like,
I think there are plenty of places that would be highly interested in having the two
oh,
of you as Bialystok and Bloom.
oh my God, we would fucking kill the
Yeah,
two of us. That dynamic is
yeah.
like, it's like we're built for that. We're built for it.
Well,
I mean,
this, yeah,
we've talked to Mushnick and Seymour,
Seymour.
you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
about
yeah, yeah,
doing that together.
yeah.
But I really truly feel like
Bialystok and Bloom.
we are
Yeah.
made to play Bialystok and Bloom
Absolutely.
together.
Well, I
Yeah.
have to ask now because you mentioned, I'm like, are the Big Time Rush guys music theater guys? I mean, I know Carlos. I remember when I was a kid, Carlos was like really, really wanted Aladdin. That was like a thing for a while. I remember because I just remember hearing it in interviews and him being like, "Well, he knows musical theater." You know?
Well, Kendall was a finalist for Spider-Man in Spider-Man Turn Off the
Oh
Dark.
yeah, I heard that somewhere. That's crazy.
Yeah, he was like one of two people or one of three people at the end, and it went to someone else. Carlos almost stepped in to do In the Heights on Broadway between seasons at one point. He did Grease, and won
Oh yeah,
the
that's
won
right. He was
the
in Grease
Emmy for
Live.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, James, I saw in a production of the last 5 years at his high school when he was a kid, which is a crazy thing, like just a
Yeah,
crazy lore. And yeah, Logan definitely is a fan, and so is Tanya, who played Kelly, my
yeah.
assistant. Like, she's a big musical theater nerd, and we would
That's so
constantly sing
funny.
musicals together.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
totally.
That's so cool. I have to ask you before we move on from Shrek. I'll ask you this one last thing. Is like because I think this speaks to the interest in being a part of workshops and whatnot. Is how much did you see that show go through the works and change? Because I've heard Janine Tesori and David Lindsay Bear talk a lot about how much they went through as writers. Talk about being noted. Most shows like that, it's almost like aside from Disney, to have that big corporation of DreamWorks with this immense property. I mean, Janine auditioned herself to write that show with other people. And so they had gone through a lot of their own ups and downs, hills and valleys.
They put those two people through absolute hell.
Mm.
No joke. It was in brutal.
Mm.
Like, Janine and David would write a song. I'm still very close with David, thank God.
I just
But
met him last
uh,
week. He's another one who's coming.
oh God, I love him so
His new
much.
play
He
is.
is,
We went to go see his new play in previews, and it is everything. I can't stop thinking about it.
yeah, no, it's incredible. They're amazing. I mean, Janine, I love Janine so much. I had a moment that is like a life-changing moment where Janine and David came in when I was in callbacks for Shrek, and they were like, "We want to play you the opening song from the show." And I I'm not a very I'm not like a super competitive person. I want what I want. I want to, when I go after things, I'm very passionate about it, but I don't compete with other people. I don't think of
Right.
the world that way.
Right.
But every once in a while, something happens where that instinct gets triggered in me, and I am like a Galactus destroyer of worlds. Like, I will fucking eat a
Yeah.
planet if I
Yeah.
have to. Like, I am
Yeah.
if I get pushed into that corner, I will be the most aggressive version of myself and fight harder than
Sure.
anyone else I know, right? And that had
Right.
never I had never had to do that. And then Shrek, Janine goes, "Oh, I want you to listen to the opening number." And I go, "Okay." And I put in headphones and I'm listening and I'm like, and then Big Bright Beautiful World comes in, and I go, "Oh, I will fucking murder someone for this role." Like,
I will burn a village if it like I will burn Burbank to the ground. Like Screenland Studios won't exist if I don't get this role. Like y'all better fucking watch your asses. Like this is my role forever. And I went so hard. I started working with I got to run lines with Godfrey, with Chapelle, with everyone. I got advice from like because I was working at the Comedy Store, so I went to all the comics, Bobby Lee, all the big comics at the store. I went to and went, "Can you run lines with me for Shrek the musical on Broadway?" And they would just be like, "Yes, of course." Or they'd be like, "Here's some advice I heard about it," and they would all give me advice, and I soaked all of that up and used it so much. Like I made it the most specific, crush jokes, found the humor and everything because I was working with the best comedians in the world, like to figure it out.
Right. Well, I'm just now I need to hear what Dave Chappelle or Godfrey's donkey
Oh,
sounds
dude,
like. You know what I'm saying? Like now,
Godfrey is like he was. I mean, Dean Edwards was an amazing donkey, but Godfrey
of
would
course,
have killed a donkey, dude. He's epic, an
crazy.
epic performer. But yeah,
Mm.
like it was nuts. It was like it was, so. I mean, yeah, love Janine and love David, but there were many times where they would go, "All right, Stephen, we have a new song. You ready to try it out?" And I'd go, "Okay." And I'd come in to the room and they'd teach me the song and I'd sing it and they'd go, "Oh, this sounds good. All right, let's go play it." And then I'd walk out to the big room at 42nd Street Studios and Jeff
Yeah.
Katzenberg and David Geffen would come in and sit down and they'd go, "All right, sing away." And I would go, "Okay, here's the song. This is for this part." And I would sing it and I'd finish and he'd go, "I don't know, it's fine. You like it? I don't know. It's not really anything for me. Let me see. Tear it, throw it in the trash. Start over, guys. Come on, give me something. Give me something. He
Oh,
was so unbelievably shitty to them. It was brutal. Like it was
wow.
bad, and there were definitely some funny moments in that. There was some great. There was some but there was some heavy. I mean, there were some heavy moments where they worked really hard on stuff that he just kind of tossed away. Like
Right.
he is a brutal dude. No, there is
Yeah.
no one I've ever met that is as yeah
Intense.
intense, yeah, as Jeffrey Katzenberg.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I mean, to be that kind of a CEO and the kind of image and name that he does have, it
dude,
feels like
you know the story. This is a horrible story, and I'm gonna get it wrong. But do you know the story about Aladdin with "Proud of Your Boy"?
no.
Oh, oh, uh,
I know it was cut. Was Jeffrey Katzenberg the reason why Proud of Your Boy was cut from
yeah.
Aladdin?
So it was Alan Menken and Howard Ashman, right?
Right.
And
Yep, that's right.
which is Howard was
The lyricist.
right. Howard is gone, right? He's passed.
He's passed
Right.
away.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
Howard, so okay. So Jeffrey Katzenberg. This is on a DVD from Disney. Like this
Right.
is legitimate. Jeff Katzenberg goes, "Proud of Your Boy" is wrong. It's wrong for this movie. We don't need it. Like that's not the journey. The journey is not got to make his mom proud. The journey is Jasmine has her issues, and he's trying to. It's different. It adds too much to it, and it's too sad. It's the wrong thing for the show. And Howard Ashman and Alan Menken had it in their deal that they got final choice on what songs were in the movie. And they were like, "Well, too bad, Katzenberg. Like, we get to do whatever we want. This is how it's going to be. And this is the song." And he was like, "Yeah, no, every time." He was like, "This doesn't work. It doesn't work. We need to cut it. It's not going to work." And he was like fighting with them constantly. And then he found out that Howard Ashman had AIDS and was dying.
Right.
So he put the
Right.
movie on hold.
Oh my God.
And the day Howard Ashman died, he cut it from the show, from the movie. That is 100% true. Like he waited until Alan Menken couldn't, like, didn't have anyone to support him. And he used that moment to cut it from the musical. But I mean, that's horrifying. He also thought part of your world should get cut from The Little Mermaid. Like he voted repeatedly to have it cut. Like he does not like sentimental moments. He is not a sentimental dude at all. So it's good that he's not, he's not there, doing that. But man, oh man, he was kind of the wrong. He was like the wrong dude, like.
Yeah. 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 That's really, yeah, that's really tough. And some of those things are hits and misses, but to die on that hill, I mean, that's I don't know if there are words to really
No,
describe something like that.
it's horrifying. It's horrifying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Howard.
Do you mind if I take a quick pee break and then I'll be right
Yeah,
back?
yeah, of course.
My sister wanted to come and meet you. She's been sitting here.
Yes.
She's like our social media.
What's up, sister? How are you?
This is Angel Steven.
Oh,
She's
nice
our
to meet
social
you.
media manager. All the TikToks you see, those are from her brain.
Oh, good job.
And she's also we went to our first Big Time Rush concert. This will be the perfect transition into Big Time Rush, actually.
Yeah.
So we went to our first Big Time Rush concert when I was 10, and it was after season 1. Okay. And I was like huge. They were at Six Flags. They weren't like, this is, I think BTR had like just come out. You guys had just gotten picked up for a second. And I was following all this stuff. Big Time Rush was like the first show that I ever followed. Like, oh, TV Line came out with an article that was like, Big Time Rush is picked up for a 3rd season, like,
oh yeah.
And so Angel was a couple months old. She was like a baby, and she slept through the whole concert. Yeah, she slept through the whole concert. And and I'll send you a photo. I have a photo of me and my brother. Like, it was our Big Time Rush was our first concert at Six Flags in New Jersey.
Oh, that's crazy.
And, yeah. And it was like one of those, I remember in the middle of the concert, they looked and they were like, if some news that we have is we're doing a movie. And it was like that kind of like very, very like first round. It was,
oh my God, that's wild.
It was kind of,
I love that.
It was kind of crazy. I'm geeking myself. I'm showing my geek. I saved this because I'm psycho. This is the wristband from our first concert. It says Six Flags.
Dude, let's go, dude. I love that.
I'm a freak. I know I'm a freak, but I'm also like a little bit of a hoarder, and I save things because I'm like, this is just something to remember for moments like these.
Bro, absolutely. I'm the same way, dude. I've got things from my past all around me at all times. It helps with everything,
Yeah, and it's just one of those things that reminds you of like, it just keeps you grounded and reminds you that like, it's just one of those moments where this feels like a pinch me moment in and of itself, to be meeting here and chatting with you and just having a blast talking. And also, you were someone that I watched on my TV over and over again, and like, and impersonated, and
I love it.
Yeah,
I love that. That's so great.
When Mel Brooks gives you his blessing to go do Big Time Rush, did you already film the pilot?
Yeah, so we shot a pilot. We shot the Brand New Day pilot with Kurt Hansen instead of Kendall, because Kendall hadn't come along yet. And so we had Kurt ended up playing Dak Zevon on the show, like a Zac Efron vampire that plays basketball character.
Interesting.
And Kurt Hansen has been in like a ton of theater and Broadway and stuff. Like he's a real talent. But yeah, they had shot the pilot, and then they realized that Kurt was a little too old for the role, and they wanted someone just a little bit younger. And
And
so
that
then,
pilot's on YouTube somewhere, isn't it?
oh, it's on, yeah, it's on YouTube. You can
Yeah,
watch
'cause
it.
I've seen it before. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone looks like babies. Carlos looks like a
Yeah.
little baby, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they spent a year looking for someone to play that role. And multiple times my agent and manager were like, this is never happening, dude. Like, you can let it go. Like,
Why?
they just can't find anyone. Like, it's gonna die. Like, you just have to be okay with that. And I'd be like, okay, all right, well, pilot was fun to shoot, maybe someday. And then that phone call, and then finding out that it's actually gonna go, and then all the thing they go. I went to Scott Fellow's house, um, and met with Kendall and Logan and James and Carlos for the first time. And there's a photo of that's out in the universe, and it's
Ether somewhere?
just
Yeah.
a amazing moment. And
Yeah.
we just knew, we were like, we're gonna have so much fun. We're gonna go
Right.
shoot these 9 episodes, and then who knows what'll
9.
happen. And it was like literally 4 episodes in, they were like, you're gonna do 20 first season, or something like this. And it was like,
Whoa.
whoa. And then they were like, we're gonna do a second season, and it's gonna be 30 episodes, or whatever crazy amount second season was. And
That second season was crazy. Yeah, I want to talk about that.
yeah, it was outrageous, man. It was
Well,
outrageous.
from what I understand, the concept of Big Time Rush was stemmed a little bit from, and I could be making this up, I don't know where I read this, but that the concept was stemmed a little bit from the idea that Disney had Hannah Montana, and that was totally tapping, an untapped. Oh wait, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, sorry. You cut out for a moment, so I wasn't sure. No, but so Disney was totally tapping an untapped market with the actor singer, and then bringing her out on tour. And I imagine that's why. Am I right about that?
It was it was a cross between two things, because Nickelodeon, I mean, my God, dude, the cost of doing a TV show that's also a band and then putting those people on tour is, you have to have a record label, and you have to have a television network that are like in simpatico and working
Synonymous, yeah.
together. And that is an extremely difficult and very expensive thing to do. I mean, you're shooting a
Right.
music video on top of shooting a television series every week. And then on their days
Right.
off, they have to go and perform to get the hype out there and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's
Crazy.
very taxing on everybody. So, that was part of it, that they were ready to take that on. But also, it was a cross between the TV show The Monkees, which was a
Oh yeah.
show,
Right.
and
Right.
Entourage. And that's how it
Oh,
was kind of pitched, was, a bunch of
interesting.
friends, and also they're a boy band, and also there's like an angry yelling boss, like
Right.
no
Right.
parents, just a bunch of kids in LA having a crazy time. And like, what is that show? And figure they did a pretty damn good job of
I
figuring
mean,
it
it
out.
it works so well. And if I mean, you don't know what I would give to this day to be on the Palmwood set, to live like and I know it was based on the Oakwoods, and it was like meant to be like dingy and whatnot. Um, but it was the dopest thing. Y'all had a pool on your set.
Yeah, and that was on Soundstage 28. It was just across the road from Dr. Phil show. And
Wow, at Paramount, right?
yeah, at Paramount, they dug into the ground and built a pool, and then they filled it in between seasons. And then other shows would shoot there, and then they had to dig up a pool and pave out a pool,
Every
after
season.
every season. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. They kept it, I think, between 1 and 2, but then between 2 and 3
After
and
that,
3 and 4, it was filled in. But
that is
yeah,
so
I
crazy.
mean, being able to shoot at Paramount, and that Palmwood set was so cool. And you could sit there. It'd be like 2 in the morning, and it would look like the middle of the day. Like, it was so pretty,
Right,
and the
right,
pool
and
was
and
always
and the crib,
nice.
crib set with the slide. It was awesome.
Oh yeah,
To this day, I want
totally.
a slide in my house like Big Time Rush's slide because of it.
That's hilarious. Oh, I love
You know what
that.
I
I
mean?
love
Like,
that. Yeah,
yeah, it's so,
those sets. I used to fall asleep on their orange couch in their like yeah, if I needed a
in their
nap,
apartment.
we didn't have couches
Yeah,
in our dressing rooms yet, so I would go
yeah.
and cuddle up in there and fall asleep, and it was such a nice vibe, dude. I loved that. I loved my Rock Records set.
Yes.
Oh,
Everyone was so specific and the design was so specific. And I want to ask you what that original audition entailed because Gustavo is such a larger than life character. And to me, at least, it doesn't feel like anyone, like, it really doesn't feel like anyone else could do that character. And I know that Brent, I'm blanking on his last name, Murray from Stranger Things was the original Gustavo
oh
in
yeah,
like a
yeah,
lead,
yeah, yeah.
right? But tell me about what walking in, what you had received, what you knew about Gustavo, and then how you molded and created his larger than life personality.
Well, I was told I was auditioning for an animated show. So
Oh,
I left when I was working at an oil factory that made perfume for witches. Let's just take that in for a second. I was working at the Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab in North Hollywood and
that's
making
crazy.
$6 an hour, and all my clothes were their merch t-shirts because they would just give me free t-shirts to wear. And the nice thing about that job is they would let me go to auditions. And
Right.
so I was working one day, and I get a call, and they're like, "Oh, you have an audition in like an hour at Paramount, and it's a voiceover. It's for a show about like a boy band and a boss or something. You'd be auditioning to play the boss." And I was like, "Okay, all right." And I'm wearing a hoodie that said like "Bang Pow Kapow" on it, and something I bought in New York when we were doing Shrek. So I was like, "All right, I'll just
Right.
wear this." I'm not changing. It's a voiceover. So I get
Right.
there and I go, "Oh, I'm here for this audition," and they go, "You're auditioning for the Silver Fox suit and tie guy, that character?" And I'm like, "No, I'm auditioning for the record producer." They're like, "That is the record producer. Do you want to change?" And I was like, "No, but it's a voiceover." And they're like, "It's not a voiceover. This is a live action show." And I was like, "What?" And I call my manager and I go, "What the did you
What the
send me
hell?
on?"
Yeah.
I go, this is a not a voiceover." And I go, "I'm
Right.
totally wrong for it. Silver Fox, not a silver fox. Suit and tie, wearing a hoodie. Like, I'm like, this could not be worse." And he goes, "No, no, no, Steven. The role is a record producer with a giant ego. Just do that. You know how to do that character. I've seen you play the big ego guy before. Like, the guy that's like, how dare you talk to me? Like, you used to do it to me in the office." And I was like, all right, I kind of know what it is." And so I look at the script, and there's a line that just goes, "How dare you disrespect me? I blank." And you're supposed to improv something there. And
Gotcha.
I was like, "Okay." And so I take out a pen and I write 5 jokes. Like, "How
Yeah.
dare you disrespect me? I this, I that, I did this, I did this," right? So I I go in and I do the scene, and it's the scene with Kendall where I'm like, "Kendall, here's the thing. I am the greatest record producer of all time, and you need to come with me to make an album in LA." And then he goes, "No." And I go, "How dare you disrespect me? I gave Ice Cube his name. If it wasn't for me, Ice Cube would still be Morris Lipschitz. That's his real name. Morris Lipschitz." And then I'm like, I go, I'm a big deal, man. I eat gold for breakfast. Does it hurt my stomach? Yes. Do I have intestinal bleeding? Of course I do. Is it worth it? You bet your booty it is. Kendall! And I just like kept going. And I was like, "Me and James Spader are the best of friends. Okay. We live next door to each other. we hang out every other Thursday and play racquetball because we're amazing. And I just kept doing this. And they were fucking dying. And Scott was loving it. And so I go, anyways, well, thanks for having me in. Okay, bye. And I walk out. I walk out and I'm walking across the lot, and I had done some work on a TV show called Monk with Tony Shalhoub.
Yeah, of
I
course.
had worked in the art department, not like an
Oh, funny.
actor. I was working in the art
Yeah.
department. Okay. So I had done a little work over there. So I see they're filming, and Tony is sitting in his chair. So I go over, I'm like, Shloobs, what's up? And he's like, hey, what up? And I'm like, what are you filming? And he's like, oh, just shooting, scene or whatever. And I just finished audition, totally crushed it. And he was like, nice. And while we're talking, my phone rings and it's my manager. And he goes, you have a call back. You have a call back. You have to call back right now. You have to go back to the set. Where are you? Are you off the lot? And I go, no, I'm just hanging out with Tony Shalhoub. He goes, what? Okay, fine, whatever. Just go. Go back to the thing. So I go, Shloobs, I gotta go. And he's like, get it, boy. And I walk back. I walk back over and I walk in, and they go, oh my God, Steven, thank you so much for coming back. We wanted to bring in the other producers and Savage Steve Holland, our director, and some other people to like see you in person. Did we catch you before you left the lot? And I go, yeah, I was just over on Monk hanging out with Tony Shalhoub.
Tony.
And they
Yeah.
go, what? Why would you be hanging out there? And I go, oh, me and Schloobs are friends. Me and the Schloobs, old buddies. We just we got like we're on a bowling league. It's not a big deal. We won last 3 years in a row. Crush Fest, Burbank, calling it out. Anyways, yeah, we should do. And I'm just like making things up. Like I'm just lying and
Right.
just joking.
Right.
And they were like, "Oh my God, do the thing." And so then I did the audition again, but this time 4 new improvs that I had written that I didn't do the first time, and they were
Yeah.
like, "We're fucking done, dude. You have it." And they called me. That was Friday. They called me Saturday and told me that I would get to play Gustavo in the pilot. And I said, that's amazing. And they said, we start shooting Monday. So Sunday, we need a costume fitting. So you need to come in for a fitting.
What the heck?
And I came in on Sunday, and it was all suits and ties. And I was like, this is not what record producers wear. Like, not cool record producers, like cool
Right.
record producers doing hoodies and chains, and that's what I want to wear. And they were like, okay, we'll see if we can find something for you for tomorrow. And I was like, oh, okay. And they found something. The next day I shot the Paramount scene where we pull up to the Paramount Theater, and I was wearing like kind of some stuff, but then when the show got picked up and we actually went and reshot the whole pilot, by that point they had a real sense of what I would be wearing, and
Mm.
and then I started wearing
Well,
the stuff
it's
for the
funny
show.
because it seems like your vibe from the beginning, walking in that hoodie by accident, and then simultaneously working with the idea that because Griffin is that guy,
Right.
in the show, he's the silver fox who's like very hardcore and whatever, but you are meant to be you're their boss, but also you served as like their friend and
Yeah.
and someone who wasn't necessarily an equal, but in vibe you were always like one of the boys.
Dude, what's the luckiest thing that has ever happened to me? And I will say this without getting like super emotional, but one of the luckiest things in the world of my career is getting cast to play an adult on a children's television show where I'm not a parent. Because
Yeah.
if all the parents from all of the TV shows, Nickelodeon and Disney, across the board, the recovery of coming off of those shows playing the dumb dad, and the kid's the smart one and you're the dumb dad who doesn't know anything, or like the there is no possible way. It is a very difficult recovery in your career to play anything else when you've played that role, the dumb
Yeah.
dad with the smart kids. But
For
playing
sure.
their boss, playing like they're like a you know it's reminiscent of Ed Asner on the Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Yes.
You know,
Yes. Yeah.
it's reminiscent of like a lot of Ari Gold in Entourage, and I'm
Yeah.
lucky enough I got to spend time with Ed Asner and with Jeremy Piven and
Whoa.
talk to both of them of like their approaches and the way that they did it. And you know, it's crazy. My acting teacher, Harvey Solon, the one who said that crazy phrase to me about
Yeah.
process off stage and everything, I called
Right.
him and I told him that I got this role on Nickelodeon. And he said, "Well, you're going to be fighting against a shit sandwich." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "The writing is going to be garbage. The way they're going to treat you is going to be like you're a prop, and you're going to have to fight with everything in you to create something authentic. And the only way that you're going to be able to do that is if you get to spend time with actual record producers and see what their lives are like and try to bring that into the mix." He's like, "You can't change what they're writing, but you can change how you perform it. So
Yeah.
they're not going to let you go. Like, go find a way to make this real." And
Yeah. Yeah.
I ended up spending time with the Wu-Tang Clan in the studio
Oh,
and got
on
to
Staten
like,
Island.
yep, and got to hang out with those guys and
Yeah.
watch them work and watch the RZA and the Jizza like work in the studio. I got to spend time with the guy that produced all the music for Big Time Rush at Sony
Oh,
and
cool.
spend a whole like couple of days with him. And
Right.
a bunch of other record producers let me like hang with them, and it was very informative to the character and the way that the
And
character was
I
played too.
wonder how much of your musical history and like you playing piano and whatnot, how much do you think that informed
Well, that
the
was
part?
crazy because I go, "Oh, I play the piano. You have to let me play." There's a thing in the pilot, like in the actual TV show, where I
Yeah.
play this dun 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 dun, this classical piece,
Yeah. Yeah. I
and
remember
I
that.
was like, "I have to play it," and they were like, "No, we can't. Like we already stuffed pillows inside the piano, and we have a piano player that'll do it later, and you're just miming it." And I was like, "I've been playing the piano since I'm 2 years old, and I'm an adult. Like, you have to let me do this. Like, my family will kill me. Like, if they, like, what's the use of
Yeah.
playing the piano all these years if I don't get to play?" And they were like, "All right, fine." And they set up mics and they let me play it live. And that was hugely important because then I got to play the piano on the TV show all the time, and it felt great,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
it's super influential. It's kind of amazing how much. I mean, at that rate, in a show like this too, how early on did you start to notice them writing to you?
It was definitely in that first season. They had an open door policy, so we could walk into the writers' room and pitch ideas and
Cool.
a lot of stuff. Big Time Superheroes came out. We made that because I was in I did a web series with Fabio before Big Time Rush. I did a web series with my friends and with Fabio, and it was a thing where I was dressed up as a superhero, playing a superhero. And Scott had a picture of me in a leotard stuck on his wall, and he was like, "Someday we're gonna do a superhero episode." And it was like, "All right, weirdo." And then yeah, and then they actually did it, which was crazy. And then they got Jessica Gao to write it, who ended up creating She-Hulk for Marvel.
No way.
Yeah,
Whoa, I did not realize that. That's so crazy.
yeah, it's crazy, dude.
It's so yeah, it's so bizarre. And I want to talk a little bit about Scott because it feels like, in the midst of a couple years ago when all of the quiet on set stuff was happening alongside Nickelodeon and all this other stuff, Scott Fellows was singled out as the person who was never ever created any type of environment other than positive, lovely, kind and encouraging. And I've heard the Knights Declassified guys, Devin and I've heard them talk about the fact that in the midst of everything that was happening on all these other sets, his set was always the one that was encouraging and lovely. And I was
Yeah.
wondering if you could speak to Scott.
I love Scott Fellows. He is an incredibly kind, wonderful, generous guy. Um, but I think the story that I know that is like really shows the difference is Miranda Cosgrove came and did an episode of our show,
Right.
and
Big
she,
time Christmas.
yeah, and she turned to Scott at one point and goes, "Is it someone's birthday today?" And he goes, "No, why?" And she goes, "Well, why is there cake?" And he goes, "It's just Cake Tuesday. Just what we do every Tuesday. There's always cake." And she goes, "So you guys just have cake?" And he goes, "Is this not what it's like on iCarly?" And she went, "Nothing about this is like anything that it's on iCarly. Nothing."
Right.
And it was like, oh, huh. And that was kind of like a weird like moment. And Scott told me that. And it was like, it's true. Like it was really intense, you know? And I know that there was an incident where Drake um came to the Ned's Declassified rap party and he got like I think really possibly inebriated and he knocked over a bunch of stuff and caused like a big to do, and then in the middle of it was like, "You guys don't know how good you have it," and they like dragged him out and like threw him out, and it was like a big mess. And I wasn't there for it, so this is just hearsay, but
Sure.
I remember hearing that and being like, "Oh, what a, whatever." And then now you know what was going on and you're like, "Oh my god, like that's
It's
horrifying.
heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking."
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's heartbreaking and also just a testament to Scott. And I will say, you feel it. And going back and watching the show, you feel this. It's so wholesome, and it's so. And this is why
oh,
I was like,
yeah.
when she didn't grow up on the show as much, Angel, and I was like, I want you to watch this show. I feel like the type of humor that's here and the type of love that was poured into this humor and the guys and what they were doing and what they were going through, nothing ever felt like it doesn't feel like you'll go back to Big Time Rush in 20 years and go, ugh. You know what I mean?
No,
Because it was just wholesome. It was,
no, we were, that's the thing is he really created a very positive, like, blessing of a vibe on that stage. On that sound stage, the way that we were treated, he looked after everyone very carefully. Like, he is an incredibly good man. And
yeah,
we got very, very lucky that that was the
yeah,
case.
yeah.
Uh,
And you feel it. It
yeah,
shows, you know?
totally, man.
I want to ask you about so being a series regular on a kids TV show. We spoke to Michael Kostrov, who worked on Sunny with a Chance, and he was a recurring on Sunny with a Chance, and he had mentioned that the series regular contracts on those shows means that you were signed on to them like for the whatever it is 3 to 4 years through and through, and you can't do any other projects. Was that similar to what you had with Gustavo too?
Um, yes and no. I had it in my contract that retained the rights to my own likeness, so I
Mm.
could put a picture of my face on a T-shirt or do a stand-up album,
Oh, that's
or
amazing.
yeah, I could go and be in other things. But um, I think it was near the end of Big Time Rush. I went off and did Workaholics on Comedy
Mm.
Central, and
Uh-huh.
it was really fun. Like I had a great time and I love those guys and it was great.
Yeah.
But I did kind of walk away from it being like, you know, the reactions that I got to it from fans were like, I don't know. There's certain things that I'm a little protective of
Right.
that image
Right.
of and of my own image, but also of what I put out into the world. Like
Yeah.
I turned down this movie. There was a movie about neo Nazis that I was asked to be in. That was kind of a big thing, and it was like a big scary character, and there was
Yeah.
using a lot of words that I'm not comfortable using in my life that I would never use, and
Of
I
course.
just felt like what is this like what does this accomplish for my career? Like
Yeah.
very little. Like
Right.
I don't want to alienate like fans, and I would
Yeah.
much rather build a career that is different and you know than just do stuff, you know, for the paycheck, or to do jobs
Right.
that may like ruin the love that I've been able to. I mean, my favorite thing in the world is people walking up and being like, "Oh, you're my childhood," you know, or I grew up with you," and that's a really special thing. And
Yeah.
like I'm friends with a couple of people that were on Sesame Street when I was a kid, and
Yeah.
I want to have that. I still want to be able to work and do other things, and doing like a
Right.
sitcom or doing some like a comedy on, you know, television would be so much fun. But
Yeah.
I think there's always a little part of me that is gonna, no matter what the audition is or what the job is, I will always go like, how will the fans feel about this? Will they come with me to it, or
Right.
will they not be into it? You know,
Yeah.
would it
Yeah.
upset them,
That's
or
interesting.
I don't want ruined my childhood. Like I don't want any of that.
Oh,
So,
sure, sure, sure.
you know.
Yeah, that's interesting. I want to ask you why you guys did so many episodes in season 2. That was a 30 episode season. Was it because they were trying to like bang it out to have plenty to air? I mean, like,
Yeah, but it's also we're locked in for how much they're paying us per episode. Every season they
uh
have to pay us more. So
yeah. Oh, sure, sure, sure.
they could
Right.
renegotiate for the next season. And so that's why.
I see.
That's the reason.
I see.
But it was a
Uh,
lot.
can we? Yeah, and I imagine you guys were. So did you guys do like the traditional multicam schedule, even though you weren't a multicam, where it was like 3 weeks on, 1 week off?
I think it was two on, two off.
Oh, oh wow, that's
I
great.
think it was. I think it was close to that, or two on, one off, two on, one off, something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know. It was a long time
yeah.
ago. It's hard to think of that, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah. Right, right. And then I want to talk about the movie a little bit. Like, what a cool opportunity that you guys had. You shot it in Vancouver. Is that right? Or Toronto? It's Toronto.
Vancouver.
Oh, Vancouver, Vancouver.
Yeah, that was a trip, dude. They go, "Oh, we're gonna pay you this a big old boatload of money, and we're gonna send you up there, and it's gonna be so great." And I was like, "Cool, that sounds great." And then they go, "Here's the script," and I look at the script, and I'm on 5 pages of the entire script. I'm like, "What am I gonna be doing for like 2.5 months?" And they're like,
Right.
I don't know, you're getting paid every day that you're there, and you're getting a per diem. So just do whatever you want. So me and Tanya both rented motorcycles and like drove motorcycles all over town. We had dinner at
Whoa,
every restaurant in the area. We hung out with the Twilight cast because they were filming Twilight at the same time.
that's
And
so
the Twilight
cool.
cast was staying at the same hotel as us, so we got to spend time
Wow,
with those guys, and that was weird. And yeah, man, we were just doing a lot of
that's
crazy
awesome.
shit. It was awesome, dude. But you're
Wow.
also like in Vancouver, and Vancouver is crazy. So
Vancouver is a great city. It really is a really, really cool city.
yeah,
There's plenty to do there.
yeah.
Um,
Like also, certain things that are legal in Vancouver were not legal yet in California, if you know what I'm
oh,
saying. So
interesting.
there was there were some nights where we were smoking the weed a little bit, and
That's so funny.
that was very fun to just be wandering around Vancouver like stoned out of our minds. And
And it's crazy that they kept you there the entire duration of the time if they only were going to use you for a small period of
oh,
time.
it was like we shot one day the first week, the second week we shot 2 days, the third week we shot nothing, the fourth week we shot a day. It was like literally like that. So we're just like, what are we gonna do this whole time? Like we both got. I got a girlfriend. Tanya got a boyfriend. Like just
Oh my
random people in town. We never saw again. Like so
God, that's
crazy. And the
crazy.
girl that I was dating after it was so I was like, come to Los Angeles. I love you. I think you're so wonderful. And she was like, I will come to Los Angeles. And then I get back to LA and then I reached out and I was like, do you want to come? When do you want to come? And she was like, I am married. Been married
Oh,
this whole time. I just didn't tell you. And I was like, how? And so that was super awkward.
oh
Uh,
God,
but yeah, we're living it up, trying to have
that's
adventures on
crazy.
the other side of
Yeah,
the country, I guess.
got to live it big time.
Yep, we
Um,
were.
um, no, I was gonna ask you when did you know that Big Time Rush was a hit? When did you know? At what period did you go? Oh crap! I think this is and also coupled with how far into shooting the first season did the show come out?
We were like 3 episodes in. This is the best way to explain this. 3 episodes in,
Yeah.
I turned to Seema, the president of Nickelodeon at the time, and I go,
Mm,
we're walking together. And I go, man, show, it's really funny. She goes, it's going to be a big hit. I go, yeah, hopefully, right? She goes, not hopefully. It will be. And I go, yeah, I mean, hopefully, people love it. And she goes, it's not how this works. It's not how children's television works. And I go, what do you mean? And she goes, we hired the best actors we could find. It took years to find everyone. We hired the best writers in the business, some of the top writers. We hired the best songwriters in the business. We got um, the most expensive sets. We got the best guest stars. This is going to be a hit. And I go, yeah, like, I hope so. And
yeah,
she
yeah.
and she goes, Stephen, let me explain to you like this. This show will be such a huge hit that kids will feel like they shouldn't go to school if they missed the episode. Do you understand? And I was like, oh. She was like, it's going to be like an international success. It's
Yeah.
not an if it's going to be. We're making it that. That's
Right.
how children's television works. There are shows that we make where we go, hopefully they like it. And then there are shows that we make where we dump hundreds of millions of dollars into it and the best talent on the planet into it. And we let that become a giant hit. And I was like, yeah, hopefully. So that was the conversation. And then it was like a couple weeks into the show being out. I mean, I think we shot the first 7 or 8 episodes without it airing. So
Okay.
they let us play around and be silly gooses. And then it came out and we had a party, an opening party, and
Yeah.
Victoria Justice came and Miranda
So
and
cool.
everybody came and I threw the party.
Oh
Like
wow.
I threw the party at Jerry's Deli at their
That's
screening
funny.
room upstairs of Jerry's Deli on in Studio City. And Nickelodeon was like they didn't think of anything to do anything, so I was like, oh, I can put together a
Right.
party. I used to do stand up here. I know they got a great screen,
Right.
so let's do a thing. And it was jam packed with executives, and everyone was very happy, and it was
Oh, that's
really
awesome.
fun. My
That's
my
so
family
fancy
was
and
there. It was
cool.
great.
Yeah, that's awesome. You guys had some unbelievable guest stars on this show, and so I was wondering if I could throw out some. I'll throw out some of them, and then you could give me any story, any little anecdote about these guest stars.
Sure.
Um, you mentioned Fabio. Fabio was like not just a guest star; he was like a recurring. He was on a couple episodes.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
How did Can you tell me how you guys had worked? You said on a web series before?
Yeah, Fabio and I are friends, but
Yeah.
Fabio, it turns out, is also friends with Scott Fellows. So he had
Oh,
done some Ned's Declassified back in the
okay.
day, and so when he was, they were like, "Oh yeah, Fabio's going to come do the show." I was like, "Fabio? He's like one of my best buddies." And then I started reading as Fabio in the table reads. So I would do Fabio for them, and that helped, kind of push dialogue in funny ways. And then I would be with him on set to like run lines with him and, get him good for it. And
That's
he's
funny.
amazing. He's like one of my
Yeah,
favorite
that's
people. I
awesome.
talked to him 2 days ago. We were just
Oh
chatting.
wow, that's funny.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, I didn't realize this because I didn't know who he was as a kid. But in doing research for this episode, I was like, Jeff Ross guested on the show.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, and he was my friend. Also, he came on because of me. I
Oh yeah.
they were Jeff did a stand-up special called Live from New Jersey, and
Okay.
I was in the special. I was
Oh
Larry
yeah.
the telephone the Larry the toll booth worker. So we
Yeah.
we did a whole bit together where he roasts me, I roast him, and you
That's
know
funny.
yeah, yeah, it was awesome. And then yeah, like I asked him if he would. Well, I was like, hey, do you maybe want to do my show? And it was great, dude. It was so great. I
That's
love
awesome.
Jeff. Yeah, he's amazing.
Is that also how Bobby Lee got on the show?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Through you?
They were looking for someone to play that role, and I was like, what if we got Bobby? And I got a lot of people on the show. Funny enough,
Yeah, I'm like all these comedians.
Freight Train, the big giant guy. I brought him to the set the first day of filming, and if you ever rewatch the show and you look at my desk, behind my desk on the wall where all the picture frames are, two of them are of me and Big Keys. And Big Keys, who played Freight Train, is Snoop Dogg's bodyguard. So you can imagine how that all worked out. Is Snoop's kids watched their
Big time.
bodyguard on their favorite show, and then we're like, Dad,
Oh
you should do the show.
God.
And then Snoop was like, sure, I'll do an episode.
And not just the show, he did the song. Dude, I know that
Yeah,
rap by heart.
what a
I'm
crazy
like,
thing. Unbelievable.
I'm sure you have plenty of sick Snoop Dogg stories.
Oh, I mean, the big one is that he came up to me on set and was like, hey, thanks for hooking up my boy Keys. Like, I appreciate you. And I was like, thanks, man. And he was like, when we rap tonight, I got you. And I was like, what'd you get me? And he was like, no, I got you. And I was like, we like a jet ski? Like, what are you talking about? And he was like, no, we'll smoke together. And I was like, oh my God. I didn't even think of that. I was like, oh my God, this is freaking crazy. And like, I called my mom and I was like, I'm going to smoke weed with Snoop Dogg. And she was like, I'm so proud of you. And I was like, it's happening. Like, I could not believe it. And then we went into a dressing room and he pulled out a joint, big pre-rolled, thick as my thumb joint. And he turns on Enya, the music, Enya. So it's like,
Yeah.
who can say where the road goes? And I go, what's up with Enya? He goes, oh, I always get messed up to Enya. I always get up to Enya. And I was like, oh, okay. And then he lit a candle and he's like, gotta set the mood. And I was like, what? And then he started smoking it and he took like a little bit and then he handed it to me and I was like, I don't smoke that much. So I was like, 2 hits. And he goes, when's the last time you smoked? And I go, 11 years ago. And he goes, oh shit, you're going to die tonight. And I go, eh? And then I started crying in front of Snoop Dogg, weeping. Weeping. And he's like, oh no. And then I'm hyperventilating into a bag and then he vanished from sight. And what I came to learn, which is a fascinating thing to know, is Snoop Dogg has smoked weed with some of the greatest people in history. You know,
Of course.
all over the world. Right? He's
Of
smoked
course,
weed.
yeah.
Would you like to guess how many times? Would you like to guess how many times someone has cried in front of Snoop Dogg while smoking weed? Would you like to guess?
I feel like there has to be someone else for me.
One time, just me, just Stephen Kramer Glickman. And he loves to tell people that. He told Ludacris in front of me. He told Chris Brown in front of me. He told the Wayans brothers. He told the last time I saw him, he was telling Floyd Mayweather. He was like, "This dude cried like a little baby," and everyone and people were laughing. He does it every time because apparently I am the only person that has ever just openly wept in front of another grown man.
That is crazy. That is a crazy. That is the best Snoop Dogg story. That is incredible.
There you go.
That
There you
is a
go.
crazy story.
Yeah.
I need to ask you about so you guys wrap up Big Time Rush and like what a what a journey. I can't even imagine the kind of hard stop because with these children's shows they only go the 4 years or whatever it is, and it didn't mean that your momentum was slowing down by any means. It was just the way of the way things went, right?
Yeah. It sucked.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
sucked. The show ended and I had no idea what to do, and I had no idea what was next, and it was scary.
Right.
And you sit around being like, "Whoa, who am I even?" You know,
Mm,
like where am I supposed to go? What is the plan? Like, who am I without this show? Like,
hmm
what will happen? What to do? What to do? What to do? And it was scary as hell, and it was I got very lucky. Show ended in 2013, right?
Right. Yeah.
I got Storks 6 months after that ended.
Wow. Really?
Almost like literally on the dot, 6 months. I
Wow.
auditioned for it. I got cast as the temp voice, the rough draft voice,
Yeah.
and for Pigeon Toady, and um the but this time knowing what had happened on Shrek, where I was the rough draft for Brian Darcy James, you know, technically, I was like, okay,
You were not married to it.
no, I was like, you know what? I'll give it my all. I'll give it everything, but I'm
Yeah.
also like, I'm gonna take it. You know, in the Jewish world, there's a word, dayenu, which means it would have been enough, right?
Mm,
So I tried to use that in my life, where I'm like, okay, it was enough. It was just enough that I got to go to Warner Brothers and like
right.
have a meeting. It was enough that I got to go to Warner Brothers, have a meeting, and meet Brad Lewis, who won the Oscar for Ratatouille, and I got to meet Nick Staller and Forgetting Sarah
Wow.
Marshall and Doug Sweetland, Oscar nominated Doug Sweetland, and all these John Venson, who did South Park, better, longer uncut, the movie, and
Yeah.
and Phil Lord and Chris Miller were the producers.
Oh,
Like
wow.
just getting to
Yeah.
meet them, one day of getting to meet them, that's enough, right? Getting to go to Warner Brothers, meet all of them, and do a voiceover job where I'm getting paid and I'm making them laugh, that's enough. And then every time I get brought back, it's like this would have been enough. This would, and I just kind of kept that mantra going
Right.
so that I wouldn't feel like I was losing if they hired someone else. And I did that role for 3.5 years, and for 3.5 years, I would go to Warner Brothers every couple weeks, and I'd get paid good money, and I'd get to do this fun gig. And then I went in one time, and Phil Lord pulled me aside, and he was like, "Hey, man, they want Jonah Hill to replace you. They just replaced Brian with Key and Peele, and they replaced this other person with Jennifer Aniston, and this guy is now going to be played by Kelsey Grammer, and Sandberg, is doing the main guy. So they want Jonah, and we're fighting for it to just be you. We're pushing, but you just got to know that. And I was like, okay, well, I appreciate getting to do everything I've gotten to do. And they were like, all right,
Yeah.
yeah, no, but whatever, we'll see what happens. And then it was like 2 weeks later, my agent called and she was like, Steven, I received 3 offers today. One for Jennifer Aniston, one for Kelsey Grammer, and one for you. And
That's
you're
awesome.
in and you're doing the movie. You're going to be on the fucking poster.
That's
And
so
I got to go and do the international press tour and talk
wow. That's
to
so cool.
Argentina and Russia
Ah,
and all these places with Kelsey Grammer. We got to spend the day together, and I got to
so
go with
cool.
Andy Sandberg to Netflix and meet with all those folks and YouTube and all these different places and have these pitches. And
Yeah.
oh, it was
That's
so great. We had so much fun. I loved it. I loved every second of Storks. And
that's awesome.
it's the 10-year anniversary this year. So
Yeah, 2016. Yeah.
we're doing a big thing for it. A big
That's awesome.
yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be
Yeah,
so fun.
that's so cool.
Yeah,
That's so
man.
cool. I speaking of tours, you just got off, you guys just wrapped up the like third leg of this in real life tour. I don't know if I told you, we saw it at Hershey Park.
What? You were at the
Oh
Hershey
yeah.
Park show?
I was at the Hershey Park show
Wow,
and it
I have
was
a picture of that hanging on my wall.
oh, do you really?
Uh-huh.
That's so funny. It was awesome. It was awesome. Yeah, the energy was insane and the like I can't even begin to describe. I was living my best life. I also saw them in their first tour when they first came back that summer. So like it was a blast. And I'd never seen you in person before. And I didn't even know, I don't think, the capability of all the things you had to pull out of your hat, all these tricks. It was so rad. You were doing Bad Guy and Driver's License and Toxic. It was so dope. It was awesome. I want to ask you how the guys asked you to be a part of this, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it.
Yeah, no, that's so cool that you were there. I'll definitely, before
Oh
we get
yeah.
off, I'll show you the picture that I have because
Oh
it's
yeah, for
crazy.
sure.
Um, Long story short was that I had a song that blew up crazy, by Gnarls
Crazy.
Barkley.
Yeah. Yeah.
That cover just passed 8 billion plays on TikTok.
Whoa.
It was
Crazy.
shared by Addison Rae and by Diplo and by some pretty heavy Lizzo and stuff like that. All these great
Wow.
people used
Sick.
it. Ben Platt used it, which was nuts.
Whoa.
All these big folks, and it like blew up, changed my whole life, changed my whole career, got me signed at
Wow.
Innovative Artists Agency across the
Holy
board,
crap. I've
got
not
me
heard this.
a little record deal and all sorts of cool stuff, and a bunch of opportunities came up to perform with other people. So I got to perform with Lisa Loeb here in LA, Tom Kinney.
Sick.
I did a concert with Tom
Oh
Kinney, which was
wow.
huge. CeeLo Green had me open for him in Texas. And then
Sick.
the craziest one was the Plain White Tees were doing a show in Monaco that was combined with a Comic Con, and so I got invited to open for them for that show, and so I got to go to the
Wow.
Comic Con, and then I got to do this concert with them. And Big Time Rush's management saw all of this happening and was like, "Hey, what do you think? You want to come do like 20 shows with us and open for us on the road?" And I was like, yes, of course. And they were like, 25 shows? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, 35 shows? And I was like, what? And they were like, 72 shows. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
they just kept adding and adding and adding and adding and adding. And it was like, oh my God, we get to do like a real thing. And like, yeah,
Yeah.
it was mind blowing
Had
seeing
you
the
guys
guys
kept in
all together.
contact?
Oh my God, it was so much fun. It was so much fun.
Yeah. Had you guys kept in contact since the show wrapped up?
Logan and I talked about once a month. Kendall and I
Sure.
talked about once or twice a month. James, it was like every 2 months. And Carlos had only been twice ever since we wrapped
Wow.
the show. Like we'd only,
Wow.
but Carlos was unbelievable. Like John, like he was doing stuff on the tour that was insane. Like turning to the audience and going, "Hey, have you guys heard Stephen Glickman's new album? I just listened to the whole thing and it's amazing. And there's vinyls for sale at the merch booth. Go buy them right now. He signed them all." Like, and you're like, why are you doing it? Like, you don't have to do that. But he was, I mean, I sold out of vinyls at every show. Like, it was nuts.
Wow.
Oh my God. We
Wow.
had to restock multiple. I think we sold something like 1,700 vinyls on the tour.
Gosh. That's incredible.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Incredible.
The nicest
Yeah.
guys, the kindest people.
And you were at their reunion show right in New York during COVID.
Yes. I just went to watch. And then they were
Right.
like, "Hey, can you introduce the band?" And I was like, "Hell yes." And then I did it. I'm holding it in my hands while I was talking to you. This was the big time rush at the Forum in Los Angeles.
Oh, sick.
And I got to go on stage and introduce them at that show. Like,
So
that was
awesome.
so cool. Yeah, it was crazy, man. It was crazy.
I mean, talk about the appreciation that, the surprises that came with the whole thing, because I don't even know if they realized the kind of love that they have, especially internationally, and how much people are still very much here for the count and still very much here for new Big Time Rush, old Big Time Rush, just like, and I think part of it comes from the fact that to this day they're still like great guys. They're all like, people that I look at now as like an adult, and I'm like, no, like these guys are all doing cool things and doing their own thing, just like trying to be the best version of themselves. They've never been nothing cynical about them or anything. It's been super positive.
They really are. They are really good people, and they really take care of each other, and they really took care of me. And I mean, yeah, it was crazy, dude. The 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 vibes were so good, like
And you were
and
back
they
with
would
Caitlin
they
too.
would like check in with me and be like, "Dude, do you see all the people coming dressed as Gustavo? Are you seeing
Yeah,
this?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm freaking
yeah,
out." Or they'd be like, "Okay, all right, how are you feeling about traveling to Australia? Like, how are you doing with these flights? Good." I'm like, "I'm so excited." Like,
yeah, yeah,
they were so supportive, knowing that I was brand new to all of this stuff. And
sure.
I got to have really special moments with each of them throughout the tour,
Yeah.
and I loved it. I loved it so
When
much.
we were in Hershey Park, you mentioned that Bob Dylan was there a couple of nights before you guys, and like, I mean, what was your favorite venue that you guys hit up on the tour? Because you literally traveled the entire planet practically.
Oh, I mean, Hershey Park is definitely top tier America. Like
Yeah.
that show, um, the Austin show was a big
Oh, cool.
the Moody Center in Austin. That was a big deal for us.
Yeah.
Um, the LA show, the Intuit Dome here was
Oh,
18,000 people
cool.
sold out. And that's
Whoa.
our hometown. That's my
Yeah.
basically my hometown. So it's a big deal
Wow.
having like being in your place. And like I went to a doctor's appointment and the nurse at the front desk was like, "The doctor will see you in 15 minutes." And I was like, "Okay." And then she went, "I saw you at the Intuit Dome. You were really great." I was like, "Oh my God." Pretty sure this goes against all OSHA standards, but thanks, lady. It was so weird.
That's so
Um,
sick.
yeah, yeah. There's I mean, overseas, the big ones, the ones that like Zego Dome in Amsterdam was like 20
Yeah.
something thousand, and I cried when I came off stage at that one. That was
Oh yeah.
like I couldn't deal with it. I got off stage and then I walked past a sign that had it was like Lady Gaga and Pearl Jam and Justin Timberlake and people like that, and I just was like, I was like, "Oh my
Yeah.
God, I've got
Yeah.
to do this. This is crazy."
Unbelievable.
Um, and then we played Wembley in London, and
I did not know that.
we did Queen to open the show. We
Whoa.
did the first verse of Bohemian Rhapsody, and we did
Wow.
it a cappella, just me, my drummer, and my guitar player, and
That is so sick.
oh, it was nuts, dude. It was nuts. And I
Yeah.
think it was funny. Right before I went out on stage, Kendall goes, "How you feeling?" I go, "Great. We're gonna do Bohemian Rhapsody." And he goes, "Why? Why would you do that to yourself?" I go, "It's we kill it, dude." And he goes, "Okay." Holy shit! Like, why on earth would you put yourself through doing that?
Right.
Like that song here? Like, oh my god! I was like, "Well, we got it. You gotta."
But it hit.
We crushed it. Yeah, we crushed it. Yeah, man. Hell yeah.
So sick.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And so you guys are getting back together again in Houston in a couple weeks, right?
No. I am seeing them tomorrow. I'm
Oh,
that's
really?
2 days. 2 days. Sorry. Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to be there this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then the boys will be there. I think Saturday and
Oh,
Sunday.
that's for Houston.
Yeah, for Nostalgia Con.
Oh, cool. A Nostalgia Con.
Yeah, it's
How
their
sick.
first Comic Cons, so
Nice.
I've been before, but I get to hang with my boys, and that'll be really
Oh,
cool.
that's so cool.
I
That's
can't
so
wait.
dope.
I can't wait.
And then you posted yesterday that you had some big news coming out today, and I was wondering if you could give us a little sizzle as to what that is.
Mm-hmm. It is big news. I got some big news dropping throughout the month, but this is big.
Oh.
I'm doing my first solo LA concert.
Whoa.
And I'm doing it at this place called the Sunrose, which is a really cool venue. I saw T-Pain perform there, and it is just a gorgeous venue. It's on Sunset Boulevard. It's across the street from the Comedy Store, and I'm doing like a 1 hour concert of stories and songs from the tour, and that'll
Very
be
cool.
May 30th, Saturday, May 30th. So
Nice.
yeah, very exciting.
Wow.
Yeah,
All right.
first,
Yeah, we'll definitely
first
make
time.
sure to throw that out there. May 30th, solo show. Stephen Kramer Glickman. Come on now.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome.
Stories
That's
and
super dope.
songs. You bet.
Yeah, that's super dope. And you also just had a special come out, which also is your album, like a year ago.
Yeah. We did that. We did that. That was really cool. And yeah, just going back into the recording studio this month to start working on like a new EP of songs from the tour,
Nice.
and try to bring in some extra artists, like some fun artists to work with, and
Nice.
yeah, it's gonna be great, dude.
Yeah,
I
and
love
I have to say, all in all, like, on top of it, it's not just the nostalgia, ironically, because you guys are going to NostalgiaCon, but it's not just the nostalgia that makes me still want to come back to see you guys, you and the Big Time Rush Boys. It's the fact that you guys are this positive presence and immensely talented. You guys are crushing out there, and to see you guys back together doing your thing is like this beautiful cherry on top. But it's also the fact that you guys are incredibly talented and kind and putting out a lot of positivity out there in the world. I think that that's something that is super prescient and lovely and strangely rare. So
Thank you, man.
I'm on top of a fan. I'm a big appreciator and like grateful for the work you guys are putting out there musically and otherwise.
Yeah.
And I want to say
Thank you, dude.
we started the podcast by asking you who was your I want to be like you when you were a kid, and we want to conclude the podcast by asking you who is your I want to be like you now. And it could be whoever you'd like. It doesn't have to be a celebrity. It could be anyone.
Oh, yeah. Me in 20 years. That's who I want to be. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, I want to be more like my mom now. That's I'm trying to be more like her, because
Yeah.
she, every time I think I'm a good person, then she does something where I'm like, "Oh, I'm a piece of shit." Like for Easter, we're Jewish. And my
Yeah.
mom for Easter dressed up as the Easter bunny and went to the hospital and walked around and gave out candy to like patients and
I saw you
nurses. And then she still had more left. So she went to the emergency room and handed it out to people in the emergency room. And it's like, whatever I'm doing, like
awesome.
I should be more like this. So that's really big for me. It's just
I love
trying
that.
trying to be kinder and nicer to the rest of the world and not get jaded by,
Yeah.
how crazy the business is or the stuff is and stuff like
Right.
this,
Right. Yeah.
but
I
yeah,
cannot thank you enough for being here and for doing this and for your time. You gave us so much time. Thank you so much.
dude,
This was like beyond a treat. And and hopefully we'll get to meet in person one day. One day I will come to LA. I've never been, but one day I will.
you got
And
it.
it'll
You
be
got
cool.
to. Also, I'll
And
come to New York and I did a concert at like a solo concert at the Cutting Room, and
oh, cool. Yeah.
I'm definitely due to come back and do another one. So we'll
Yeah,
stay in touch for
absolutely.
sure.
Yeah, for sure,
Thank
man.
you,
Thank you
LB.
so much. I appreciate you greatly. And this is a treat.
You
Stephen
bet.
Kramer Glickman, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
I Want to Be Like You with Elbi Cespedes is produced by Elbi and Angelina Cespedes. Special thanks to Christian Cespedes and, of course, Stephen Kramer Glickman.